and honored for that.
Hello everyone and welcome to Tinfoil Wednesday. How y'all doing? Hope you're having a good one. Sorry I didn't see you yesterday, but maybe we'll do a little longer today to make up for it. The stream that I'm doing with Cassifel that was supposed to be today is going to be Friday now, so this is the only stream today now, because it wouldn't be Hannah plans if they didn't change at least once. I'm very good at scheduling. Anyway, hi everyone, how's it going? Excited to get into some foil today, have some good stuff pulled up. Should be good. Should be good. So, yeah, let's get into it. Oh, I did have to point out, we are going to be doing Sovsits soon, because Chili did get his appeal, for those who didn't see. And that's going to embolden him like a motherfucker. So I'm sure his videos are going to get pretty fucking nuts soon. I imagine he's going to go after the judge more. It's going to be a whole thing. So we'll cover the appeal as well as whatever happens afterward. But that's for another day. Today, we're dealing with tinfoil, not of the Sovsit variety. So let's get into it. Steve with a Q, thanks for 45 months. Much appreciated. Halloween Town, thank you for 3 stream streaks, says he was number 1! Professor Daddy, thanks for 24 months, says, neat, 2 years as I chill and recover from hockey. Nice. Thank you for 2 years, and I hope your recovery is going well. Sorry, I'm having trouble with the goddamn tiara today. Ah! Hi everyone, look, it's my face. What if I do this first, and then do this? Thanks, Phoenix. So I could call those planas. True. And a face reveal. God damn it. I gotta pick one or the other. It's not cooperating today. No, we should go the horns. Gotta get new tinfoil horns. These ones are broken. And also my forehead is an 8 head. 55% to level 1 in a hype train. I just noticed we're on a hype train. Cool beans. Hats off. What do you want me to wear, Phoenix? Cat ears. Cat maid should have won. It lost by 1 vote. Tomorrow, maybe. Okay, I just gotta do cat ears, I think, because everything tinfoil is being very uncooperative today. So I can fix those GD demon ears. There. Tinfoil cat. Rageology says, don't mention fucking Blu-rays! Humiliated Grapes, thanks for gifting 10 tier 1 subs and getting us over level 1 of the hype train. Much, much appreciated. Thank you. Here, we'll just combine a bunch of costumes. I'll throw on a Freddy Krueger thing, too. See, the knives are shiny. That's foil. Alright, we're on the hype train, but let's get into some tinfoil. 53% to level 3. Keep that going if you can. I'd appreciate it. It helps the stream. Also, like the stream on YouTube if you can. Oh, hey, Korax. How you doing?
Join the Super Soldier Talk podcast this Saturday, July...
We are doing bingo, by the way, so if you haven't gotten your bingo card, make sure you do.
13, 2024, between 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. for the first time ever, and free. Timeline of Disclosure Conference and Soul Healing Fair at Indian Rocks Beach Museum Park in St. Petersburg, Florida. We will start off the day's celebration with a memorial...
Super Soldiers in Florida. Perfect. Bumble Homestead with 200 bits. Thank you. Oh, by the way, Korax, I've been listening to the Ethan videos that you sent me in that playlist. What the fuck? It's like Sovsit stuff mixed with meme stocks. How strange.
Memorial dedicated to deceased ufology experts and secret space program comrades. Do you want to learn what is really going on out there with UFOs and aliens? Then join us as our amazing speakers share more about their service in the secret space program. We will also have psychic readers, and at the end of the day,
oh hell yeah, free psychic readings.
Costume contest.
Like when you find a trash bin out back with all sorts of free shit. Moira Soma, thanks for gifting a sub.
Upgrading to
75% to level 3.
A VIP timeline of Disclosure Conference Pass will allow you to listen and meet more secret space program whistleblowers. The VIP conference begins a day before the Soul Healing Fair on Thursday, July 11th and Friday, July 12th at the Harborside Holiday Inn in Indian Rocks Beach, Florida. VIP ticket holders can also join us for the after party on Sunday, July 14th. Come show your support for individuals who have been abused in these top secret clearance programs as we co-create a timeline of disclosure for humanity.
Funny. Moira Soma, thanks for gifting a sub and getting us over level 3. Appreciate it.
Welcome, new tumblers. A145 the Mapmaker here with James Rink, who is putting on an expo next week that I will be speaking at, as well as him and several other speakers, called Timeline to Disclosure, happening, we'll call it in St. Pete, Florida, close enough to St. Pete, Florida. So
Jaden, thanks for 38 months, says Pussy Krueger.
So welcome, James Rink. How are you doing?
Would you say that to the real Freddy Krueger? You'd already be gutted.
I'm doing excellent today, Dylan. Thank you so much for inviting me on your show again.
Yes, that's a bad strategy. That's a bad strategy. You're gonna get murdered. You're gonna get very, very murdered by Freddy Krueger someday. 19% to level 4. So these are the super soldier secret people. They're part of a group that believe in a conspiracy that's a collective delusion that they were all part of a secret space program where they were sent to space and cloned and frozen, and maybe time travel was involved. If you imagine a delusion that has sci-fi elements, someone in this group believes it, and they all work together to make a cohesive canon of events of their collective delusions.
Again, I've always been impressed with the work you've accomplished over the years, and I do believe that you deserve to be recognized and honored for that your mapping and your artwork. And I think I just saw some new artwork. You just posted something about the religion one.
Sounds Scientology-ish, in the sense that there's like sci-fi beliefs going on.
I don't know, but anyway, but this is not really about Dylan, right? So it's like, yeah,
What's with the butter knives? You compensating for something? And then she got fucking killed by Jason, but that was a unique scenario.
So my name is James Rink, for those of you who don't know. And
the thing is, if this was just like a collective role play or something, that's fine. Like, you can get together with people and have creative writing ARGs. I like SCP, and that's basically what that is. It's a big collective creative writing thing, and people do art and stories, and it's wonderful, and I love that sort of creative medium where people can come together and kind of decentralized create a canon. I think that's cool. And the kind of storytelling, frankly, that you can only really do on the internet. I think it's kind of a form that exists due to us being able to be connected more than ever before, and that's kind of a nice thing. But that's unfortunately not what they're doing. They take it seriously and think all of these things are real, and that they really experienced this stuff. And that's unfortunate, because they're accidentally traumatizing each other. Some of these people legit claim to have, like, trauma, like, responses to some of these things, because they'll get, like, hypnosis, like, regression therapy, where, like, their own stories will get fed back to them, and they'll think they're real. Anyone who's familiar with the satanic panic of the 80s, and some of the, like, implanted memory stuff that went on with that, knows that, like, it might not be true, but you can be traumatized by things if you are made to believe they're true. So that's fucked up. Penigami says, "Hello all, I have another infected tooth, hooray. My dentist was able to cap the nerve and give me antibiotics, so you know, I can eat and exist again, but I have to get another tooth pulled. On a positive note, my mother's surgery I mentioned to you before went well. I'm glad it went well. That's good. Sorry about your tooth. I feel your pain on that one, pretty literally. I have some tooth pain as well. 20% to level 4 on the hype."
And I started the Super Soldier Talk podcast about 14 years ago, give or take. And my mission statement has been to...
Sounds like the targeted individual community. Yes, but with more sci-fi.
Bring awareness of these classified, clandestine military projects, or when we first started off, we called it a MyLab, a military abduction. Now we realize it's actually called...
Oh, nice, Halloween Town. I'll have to take a look later.
Called a 20 and back, where an individual had been taken from the here and now moment and utilized in these projects for 20 years, perhaps in a clone body, or they would have been re-aged and time travel back. Memories erased to the moments right before they took you. So, yeah, I've always wanted to put on a conference. Over the years, people have asked me to put on an event, and back in, I guess it would have been last fall, some of my friends, we got together and we were pulling some funding to pull this off. And I wanted more of a recreational component to my event. That's partly why I picked a beach resort. I picked the Serrata Beach Resort there.
Thank you for the hype, everyone.
But it was obvious to me that it was too much money.
4% or 20% to level 4, 420 blaze it.
And we didn't really have enough time, so I wanted to...
Most of the targeted people are mentally ill, the rest are grifters. Oh yeah, that's like, it's like black helicopter stuff. Like, the two things that are like the most red flaggy in terms of someone like having schizophrenia, in terms of the specifics of their like persecution delusions, is like black helicopters, seeing them everywhere, or drones following them, speaking with angels, and gang stalking. Like, it's pretty bad. As a trope, it's really, really common. Speaking with angels or being gang stalked.
Downgrade everything, and I had some arguments with the people I was working with about the budget. So ultimately, I canceled it for next year, and they went behind my back.
For those that don't know, gang stalking is a conspiracy theory in which you think that, like, you're being stalked, but not by an individual, but by a group of people, like some nefarious them, and you just see them everywhere. Like, oh, you see some random person at the coffee shop, and you just know they're one of the agents watching you. The result of paranoia.
Generally
Generally because of mental illness.
all my IP, my ideas I was putting together, and my conference, and then they did it without me. But my listeners, and I guess I know Dylan, you were there when that was going on, and it was we found a venue where we could just do like a 1 day thing, and it was extremely affordable. I think we were like looking at like $1,500 or something for this 1 day, and then when my listeners, so I booked that so I could do it anyway because some of my listeners provided the funds for it. And then we found out that some of these listeners wanted more and more, so I expanded a little bit to where we are right now. We have the Timeline of Disclosure Conference, so that's at the Holiday Inn at Indian Rocks Beach, Florida. That is just
All right,
south of
I'll
Clearwater.
pull up the flyer here so people can see
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got the
Graphic design is their passion.
new Okay, you must have went on the
I photoshopped my own picture.
Well, I photoshopped that.
Well, I took my picture from the original one and put it on the new one. But yeah, this is the newest one. So yeah, the schedule has changed a few times.
You went to the timelinedisclosure.com because I haven't even uploaded that on the Ticket Spice yet.
I think I got this from the email you sent, actually.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
but so
yeah.
this is
Less discussion about your conference, more discussion about aliens.
an expo. I mean, this is kind of your first one. I don't even really know personally because I've never taken that as a project. It seems pretty ambitious, but you know, you've hit a few road.
Mr. Blast says, I know I get cynical with some of these tinfoil sob types, but super soldier to me implies tipping over cars, bullets bouncing off of them. What powers do these people have? It depends upon each individual person. So everyone brings their different delusions to the table, and then they will retroactively, like, post hoc justify those beliefs into the canon that already exists. So someone might come along and be like, a lot of it's stolen, like, verbatim from media. So someone might be like, oh, you know, Spartan super soldiers from Halo? Like that. It's often, like, contextualized like that, where they will reference a piece of media and say, like, oh, you know Star Trek? You know how strong Klingons are? Like that. It's plagiarism as a form of delusion. It's weird. They will pick out things from media and then say that, but that's real, and the show was predictive programming to secretly hide the reality. It's like they can't even specifically come up with their own, like, delusion sometimes. They see it elsewhere, and then they pull from that, and are like, that feels right, that's true. It's interesting.
Bumps in the process, but I'm hoping it's gonna be a really good one. You got a good lineup.
Just off the top of my head, the things that are part of the canon, the reality of the super soldier universe, we have aliens, we have predators, we have Star Trek, we have Star Wars, which don't even make sense that those both exist in the same canon, but like, it's a lot of stuff like that. Popular sci-fi stuff, I've seen Dune mentioned, it exists somewhere, and they pull from that. Kagami says, update on the election. Some members in Trump world are trying to rebrand Project 2025 as Agenda 47 for the 47th president. Project 2525 is waking people up to how serious this election is. Don't let fascists pivot. If you look into Agenda 47, it's basically the exact same thing.
And this is an example of, like, you know, a homegrown organic expo, like the one I just did, Rebirth Festival, that, you know, a lot of the bigger ones and bigger locations seem to me to be a little bit cabal-y. You know, can't really put a finger on it. Like the ones hosted by Gaia, obviously there's like a component of that. I'm not really into a lot of the ones in Vegas.
I tend to think of it as AI generated delusions.
Like, not to name any names, but I'm glad to see, you know, people like you specifically, like, taking the initiative to put this thing together. And I think it's going to be a really cool event. Definitely very interested in all those super soldier MyLab people, like the stories they have to tell. Very interesting. I was just listening to Tony Rodriguez on Nino, or I guess it's Nino Rodriguez and Tony Rodriguez, right? They're not brothers, but I was listening to his story again. And yeah, there's definitely a lot of information in that whole department that a lot to explore there. And so do you want to speak a little bit about maybe some of the other speakers that are coming to this event? Like, you know,
no
aspects of...
Okay, they're just going to talk about the event. We only got like one bingo space off that, so we'll move on. Okay, the jet fuel thing still gets to me. This is funny. The people who think that airplanes don't run on jet fuel, or that jets don't run on jet fuel, but instead magical energy.
Gas turbine engine. Sorry, the gas turbine is an internal combustion engine that uses air as the working fluid. The engine extracts chemical energy from the fuel and converts its mechanical energy using the gaseous energy. So the chemical energy is the gaseous energy or the working fluid, which is the air. Down here, a large mass of air must be supplied to the turbine in order to produce the necessary power. The mass of air is supplied by the compressor, which draws the air into the engine and squeezes it to provide high pressure air to the turbine. Now,
Yes, and the turbine is moved, like that compressor and everything is fueled by the fuel in the plane.
just gonna
Radiology says, I wonder if the reason, other than its niche status in the US media, Doctor Who doesn't contribute to the super soldier stuff is that it's less military based and more questioning of force as a solution to problems. I've seen one who believed in a TARDIS, but that's about the length of it.
read this next bit because this is
It's usually a focus on specific abilities or technologies that they'll pull from fiction. And there really isn't much of that. Like, Time Lords have certain abilities, like regeneration. They have 2 hearts, so they have a better cardiovascular system, so they can run, and they're stronger than your average human, and stuff like that. But that's not really at the forefront of the show. It doesn't come up often, at least not explicitly. So yeah, the only thing I've seen them ever pull from Doctor Who is the TARDIS, because it's like the one piece of technology that's easily identifiable in every episode other than the sonic screwdriver, and that doesn't even show up in every single episode. So that's probably why. They have a focus on specific abilities, like super abilities, which the Doctor usually is using more of just trickery or, mental acuity in order to solve problems as opposed to any specific powers. So yeah, probably why. A lack of specific, unique abilities and technology to pull from.
this is the crux of it to me. Right, if the compressor and turbine were 100% efficient, the compressor would supply the air needed by the turbine. At the same time, the turbine would supply the necessary power to drive the compressor. In this case, a perpetual motion would exist.
They literally just said if the compressor and turbine were 100% efficient, which is impossible, because that's not how machines work. There are no machines that are 100% efficient.
That's where it should end, because they have
Radiology says, shame, every super soldier deserves a snarky, campy robot dog companion.
invented a
We all deserve that.
perpetual motion free energy generator. And
Again, they literally said if it was 100% efficient. It's not. There is no such thing as a 100% efficient machine. It cannot exist in physical reality where there are externalities like friction. Like, you just can't. Mr. Duck Sauce, thanks for 9 months, says, hello, where's the Peef? This sub-baby's name is gonna be Peef Beefington. You're welcome.
I just want to end it there, because then the rest of the book and the rest of I've got another book as well. It's a similar sort of price, showing you. I mean, they're absolutely fabulous, amazing pieces of engineering, but unfortunately, you get people like that don't want you to know because they're very highly paid, and it was an elitist thing to become a pilot. There was jokes, Jeff in the RAF and Tally-Ho Boys and all that in the day, because the elite. I mean, they were showing you these ridiculous things, but it's the.
I like that he's just calling them ridiculous as if his personal incredulity about these technical diagrams of how a jet works should be convincing to us. Conspiracy theorist thinks the evidence is self-evident on the bingo card. Like, you can't just show us pictures in a technical book and be like, this is ridiculous. What about it's ridiculous? Make an argument. Don't just gesture in the direction of one.
The engine itself is the marvel, and the weight of these things, the whole thing, it's a lie. The whole industry are lying to you because they've invented a free energy generator and hidden it in plain sight.
All right, the Concorde could fly from Los Angeles to London faster than the speed of sound. It could fly from New York City to London in under 3 hours.
That was their whole thing, was that they reached supersonic speeds.
It was claimed
They ended up discontinuing them because it was prohibitively expensive. I don't think it made money. I don't remember the other specifics. There was a whole thing. I'm sure you can find whole videos online on, like, technical YouTube as to the engineering and, like, practicality reasons. But there are reasons that are documented as to why that they discontinued the Concorde. Oh, was it an accident? One exploded? That'll do it. Ask dirigibles. Rigid body airships were never the same.
That they had, you know, where do you put that amount of jet fuel on that, guys?
What do you mean where? There's a ton of the, like, look at the volume of this thing exterior. Like, looking at the exterior, you can see the surface. So the interior has spaces for tanks. You can see where the seating is up at the top, but there's like a whole other layer. Do you not see how big this is? That could be filled with tanks. What? It has volume. It's mass. There's volume on the interior. Is it seriously just the fact that he can't see a tank on the outside? It would be like pointing at a car and being like, where's the fuel? In the tank. In the interior of it. What in the world?
I believe that they took the Concorde off the market because it was so obvious. Look at those wings. Look at the body on it. Where does the gasoline go?
Okay, it's not gasoline. Fuel. Not gasoline, though. Alright. Take a look at the bingo card real quick. I don't think we have a ton marked off, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself and then have to do a bunch. Let's see. We have... Incorrectly believes evidence is self-evident. Believes sci-fi tech actually exists. Believes they speak to aliens regularly for the super soldier talk people. Clones. Anything else? Not sure. Let's see. We can do aliens did it for the super soldier stuff. Predictive programming for super soldier stuff as well. And then I think we're good. Radiology says, remember the days when a bad plane accident would ground that make of plane and perhaps even bring down the manufacturer? Thankfully, capitalism has moved on from that. I never want to take a plane again. I'm a train gal now. I will take a train. I don't care how long it takes. Let's see what we're gonna do next. Check this one. This is called the mainstream media's lying about reincarnation.
This view is prevalent all throughout the world in different cultures and multiple countries. Not only that, it's also gaining popularity in Western culture due to the proliferation of these ideas in popular media, TV
Reincarnation on the bingo card.
shows, and movies. A recent survey from the Pew Research Foundation found that 29% of professing Christians believe in reincarnation. How is that possible? 29% of Christians blatantly disregard the Bible. The belief in reincarnation is a direct contradiction to the gospel of Jesus Christ. If we atone for our own sins in a future incarnation, then Christ died for nothing. 1 John chapter 2, verse 2 tells us, He is the atoning sacrifice for our sins, and not only for ours, but also for the sins of the whole world.
So I don't believe in reincarnation or Christianity, but I do find it interesting that so far his only argument has been, well, if reincarnation was real, then what did Jesus die for? You're already assuming that your personal belief is true and has to be. Like, you're arguing from consequences. You're saying, well, it has to be wrong, otherwise Jesus didn't have a point.
The Bible cannot be more clear on this matter. However, people still believe in reincarnation
Ancient wisdom on the bingo card for the Bible stuff.
because we see stories like this all over the mainstream news.
Meet Ryan, a 10-year-old boy from the Midwest who says he's been here before. Does this have any meaning for you now?
I'm pretty sure that's one of my wives.
Is 10-year-old Ryan a boy with an overactive imagination?
Yep, it's that one.
Or the reincarnation of a man who died more than a half-century ago? It's a mystery that began when he was just 5.
It was scary at times because he wouldn't sleep at night. He would wake up in the middle of the night screaming and crying. One night, he said, "Mom, I have something I need to tell you. I think I used to be somebody else." He started just...
The fact that she bought into this shit and didn't get this kid therapy immediately is not good.
telling me these stories.
Like, I don't know what's going on with this kid. If they just were having nightmares and, like, thought they were real, or picked up some stuff and started playing a game and the parents took it too seriously and bought into it. I don't know what the reason is. But whatever they're doing, winding up on TV to talk about it and lend credence to supernatural claims made by their child was the incorrect move. Bad parenting on the bingo card.
About how he had lived in Hollywood.
Had you ever given much thought to this whole idea of reincarnation?
No, ma'am. I grew up in a Baptist church.
You might be asking yourself right now, doesn't this account and others like it prove that reincarnation is true?
No. What?
Let's see about that. I sat down with Stephen Bancars, former New Age guru turned born-again Christian and author of the book.
That must be a fun grift. You go to Christians and weird, like, evangelical churches and you're like, I used to believe in the New Age and that was demons. It was demons all along. Your religion is the only true one. Don't think about other people's faiths and make you consider if your faith is also kind of arbitrary and based on historical inertia.
Second Coming of the New Age. And Josh Peck, author of the book Afterlife, and asked them about this supposed evidence for reincarnation.
The thing about reincarnation is it can't be objectively proven. There's no way to actually know.
Wait. That's true. But it also applies to Christianity and its claims of an afterlife, either heaven or hell. So jot that one down.
No, for sure. Also,
hypocrisy on the bingo card. Unbelievable hypocrisy.
With a doctrine like reincarnation, it's up to the individual for them to decide for him or herself whether they're good enough to
Clyde, thanks for your membership on YouTube.
then to the next thing. And most people think that they are. I mean, it's going to be rare to find somebody who thinks lowly of themselves. Like, no, I'm actually going to come back as a cockroach because I've been such a, bad person in this life.
Oh boy, you have not met enough people with low self-esteem. As one, let me tell ya, I will come back on lint, on dirt, on fleas.
So the person himself is the one that has to make that.
Sorry, Rachiology. Rachiology says, in a past life, I used to be a guy. This life's better. I feel that
determination. And any doctrine like that is kind of dangerous. There's no high ideal. There's no absolute ideal for us to measure ourselves against. So we don't really know. That can add a lot of fear into somebody's life because you don't really know what's going to happen after you die. There's no objective proof for it. There's evidence that you could interpret it to mean that reincarnation is true, but that evidence could also be interpreted other ways as well. So the near-death experience, for example, there have been people who have died, supposedly, and come back and have said that reincarnation is actually correct. That's right. The thing about near-death experiences, though, is they're near death. They're not actual death. So I use the example of...
Again, I agree, but are we applying the same standard to the religion that the creator of this video believes? All I ask for is consistency.
Of looking over the face of a cliff. You can go up to the edge of a cliff. You can even look down. You can see the ground. You can see the beautiful scenery. You get a nice breeze. It's a really pleasant experience, as long as you're not afraid of heights like I am. For me, that would be petrifying. But for most people, it's just lovely. And then they can go back and they can tell their friends about this wonderful experience they had. But if you're just on the edge, you can always come back. Once you step over the edge, now it's a whole different scenario, and you're not coming back. And it's a different story, different experience, and it's still in the same setting, though. So I think near death and death is kind of like that. I think near death, you're kind of stepping up to the edge, and death is when you finally pass that final barrier. And what's there is a mystery. So even people who have had near-death experiences, and I don't doubt that these experiences happen and they're true, I just think they could be interpreted in different ways. But people who have had that, they haven't really died. We only know of one person who has actually really died, gone past the threshold and come back, and that's Jesus Christ.
Do we know that? No. What does the word "no" mean here? What do you mean you know that? So frustrating. So frustrating.
Some people, when they have NDEs, they will describe seeing their loved ones. Many people see this. And what's really interesting is sometimes they'll even see loved ones they didn't know died. Maybe they've been out of contact for a few years, and they'll see a loved one waiting for them there. Oh, it turns out Aunt Sally is dead, and then they'll come back and they'll report it to their family, and they'll say, yeah, I saw, Grandma and Grandpa, but I also saw Aunt Sally. Did she die? And come to find out, Aunt Sally is actually dead. So
an old person in your family you haven't heard from in years happened to be dead? Who could have guessed?
There is something real to this, because the person experiencing this is getting information they couldn't have got any other way. Now, while I don't believe that there's anything to suggest a person who literally dies, can on their own volition come back to life, like once they're dead. As far as we know, only Jesus Christ has done that. Or somebody with the help of Jesus, Lazarus, people like that.
Very historical truth, by the way.
While that's not the case, I do believe that loved ones from the other side, from the afterlife, can come through the threshold to greet the person having a near-death experience. It's kind of like, once we go through the door, we're there. We can't come back in a living body until the resurrection, which the Bible does prophesy about. But we can greet others who are coming into that realm. But that's not the same as coming back to life. That's just a greeting. And the other thing to think about this too, this is a whole other layer we haven't even talked about yet. We know that there are also evil demonic entities.
Again, what do you mean we know there are evil demonic entities?
Living in this spirit world,
We're so ahead of any evidence-based anything. Oh my god, okay, I gotta move on from this guy. He's annoying me to no end. The hypocrisy. The hypocrisy is what gets me.
All right, so one of the things that a lot of the parks are doing now are putting in these solar system story walks.
A lot of the parks, or just a park near you and maybe a few others? Like, I'm sure this exists in multiple parks. It's a neat idea. Give kids an idea of, like, oh, the size of the solar system in scale. Neat! But I feel like you're acting as though it's a concerted effort by big NASA. I don't think that's the case.
Parks. And they'll do the whole, quote-unquote solar system.
The quote-unquote solar system.
And what they're doing with this, and this is in multiple parks, and I'm going to go to a couple other ones to show you, is kind of I believe in, kind of an attempt to keep their narrative going, keep that indoctrination going, even when people are just out walking, enjoying nature. I think flat Earth and the truth is getting bigger and bigger than I think everybody thinks.
Professor Daddy says those are often Eagle Scout projects. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, the Eagle Scouts do a lot of community stuff. That makes sense.
Thanks. And they're doing stuff like this to, it's like, even if it's just subconscious, even if you're walking by here and, you're just out for a walk, walking your dog, and you see this off to the side, you don't necessarily stop
Flat Earth on bingo.
and read it. But you notice it, oh yeah, the solar system, space exists, and you keep going.
I mean, yeah, it does.
Very interesting, the Helios Project.
I find it interesting that he seems convinced that whoever put this up does so surreptitiously, does so with the knowledge that it's not true, but they're tricking people. At no point does he, even within his own worldview, think maybe it was put up by someone else who was deceived. You know what I mean? It always has to be a malicious intent. It can never just be other people trapped in a belief that isn't true. Now, to be clear, the belief isn't true. Planets exist. Space exists. But he thinks it's fake. But even within the construct of the world that conspiracy theorists imagine, there are no honestly deceived people. There are only people who seek to pervert reality. There are only liars who do things, which is interesting because I navigate a world full of people who believe things different than me, and I don't assume they're all malicious, or even most of them. They're not. Like, plenty of people, most people just believe different things and are doing their best. Like, it's frustrating seeing people live with an idea of a life where everyone is constantly malicious to them all the time, when that's generally not the case. Overthought says, what always gets me with the space is fake folks is, who was faking space in ancient times and with what technology? They would probably say it was unnecessary because, well, for one thing, a lot of them don't believe that people understood that the Earth was round a long time ago. Many of them will claim that it was only a change that happened in the early 20th century, and everyone was lied to about the, history of it. They basically think people went in and changed the records to make it look like we knew the Earth was round since Eratosthenes and, the classics. But that's a whole different discussion.
And they actually make all these to scale. I've walked this park. Part 1, our solar system. And then they tell you the narrative of what it is. Tells you the whole story. The story they want you to know.
I mean, not the whole story.
They want you to believe.
A Wikipedia synopsis of Saturn.
And what's sad is, this is seen by people of all ages. I'll just say that. So it's keeping that narrative alive, and all the parks, the city-owned, state-owned, federally owned parks are starting to put these solar system walks in their parks. Unbelievable. Here's the next one. Uranus. Come on. I can't believe people buy this stuff, I mean, they literally make fun of you right to your face.
Again, yes, they think that the name Uranus, they think it is mocking you because in English it sounds like anus.
I mean, look at the picture, come on. Another thing, I love disc golf. It's my favorite sport to play. And,
so does my neighbor, apparently. Found a disc golf frisbee in my backyard.
Your solar system lies and fake.
I tried to throw it back over, unsuccessfully. I don't think I have an arm for disc golf.
Space off my disc golf course. So here's the next one.
Oh, the idea that the record is falsified? Yeah.
And, they spare no expense.
I'm sure. I'm excited to, this weekend, Profane Priestess Amber and I are going to be doing a stream together, so if you're excited to hear rants about historiography, tune in for that. It's going to be good.
It's granite. And interesting, granite is used in old world construction. And as you can tell, they're putting these to scale. Neptune, and then right over here is Pluto. That actually has the Disney character Pluto on it.
It does not. That's pareidolia.
Mockery, guys. It's right in your face. Look at this. Look.
I tried to throw the frisbee, I just didn't get it far enough to get it over the fence.
They make these to scale. Look how small they made this.
I mean, yeah, that's how small you'd have to make it to scale. It's tiny relative to the other objects.
Little knob for Pluto. Congratulations, you have reached the outer limits of our solar system. If Pluto was in its proper
You don't know the size of my yard.
location on this scale, it would be 3 miles east of here. So, yeah, you know, putting these out here on these parks all over town. And I'm gonna go get a couple more. There goes a deer.
How will I be the next Captain America if I can't throw a frisbee? Unfortunately, I just don't think it's in the cards for me.
No, space is fake. It's like, I'm getting out of here. I don't need any part of that indoctrination. People are dumb. And then one last one on this particular
Hydrate.
path, this particular park, is they like to really drive home what the solar system is. You know, it's at the center of our galaxy. Basically, you know, anything that goes against what's true, you know, like that God created everything. And, you know, science is a religion.
Scientism on the bingo card.
And it's a satanic religion.
Satanism on the bingo card.
It takes 230 million years for the Milky Way one full revolution. And then the last time our solar system was in this spot, the dinosaurs had just started to walk the earth.
Mm-hmm. I understand you find that funny, but you need to demonstrate why. It's, again, your personal incredulity isn't an argument. Overthought, thanks for gifting a sub to Halloween Town. Much appreciated. Halloween Town deserves all of the subs.
You know, I mean, dinosaurs didn't exist either. Most likely just dragons. In fact, not most likely, definitely just dragons. There were definitely giant creatures. You know, giants, giant people. But the dinosaurs were perpetrated to drive home the false narrative of time. You know, Earth is very young. This creation that God made, it's very young. So they make it seem like it's very long. And then they knew they were going to take advantage of the free energy that the Terrians left us, the old world left us, the free energy. And they knew they weren't going to give us free energy, so they had to come up with a different form of energy, but that they could charge us for. But while they still are using free energy on us, so we're actually paying for free energy. But they knew they needed something, so the dinosaurs and the fossil fuels, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Come on.
I don't understand why he thinks he needed to make up dinosaurs in order for fossil fuels to be a thing, considering oil is not primarily by mass created from dinosaurs. It's like trees. Because the trees decompose, well, not even decomposed. The downed trees existed before the bacteria that could eat the trees, which helped them turn into oil over long periods of time. But that's a whole other story. Rick M., thanks for 13 months. Baker's dozen indeed.
Come on, guys.
Doesn't understand his problem is capitalism on the bingo card.
We're running our cars off of dinosaur oil. Come on. When you really break down the narratives, they are ridiculous. And if you can, break that spell that you're under, because it's all it is, just a spell. And once you can snap out of that spell, the truth is amazing. It's amazing. It sets you free. Are we going to change the world? No, because we're in Satan's short season right now. We're not changing it. But
again, rapture theology says that should be 7 years. That doesn't really make sense. Yeah, giants.
It sets your mind free. Set your heart free. Brings you right up next to God. You don't need church. You don't need religion. Just have your relationship with God. That's it. It's so simple. All right, here is another park with a solar system walk. You can see all of them here.
I want to see the sun. They have like a big statue for the sun.
And this is also a park owned by the city. This one happens to have, in addition, an observatory.
Oh, that's
cool.
cool.
They'll open up that roof and really, really like big telescopes.
That's really cool.
Check
for
out
a
the
park.
sky, and I did check it out once.
Hats off, Baja. What do you want me to wear for the hats off?
And those professional, really big telescopes are designed with pre-programmed destinations that you can find. So you say you want to find...
I'm disappointed that they don't have a big sun sculpture.
And,
I know that would be prohibitively expensive for it to be to scale. It would have to genuinely be like the size of a building. But I don't know, I wanted to see a big building-sized sun.
Vega. You type it in, and it finds it for you. So not only is it just finding it...
I put on anything I want that isn't cat ears. Damn. Cat ears lovers in shambles. We'll go witch hat. Witch hat's my favorite, so we'll do that. There's the seam. Hard to see inside in sunglasses. I wear my sunglasses at night so I can look like a douche on the internet. Well, yeah, the horns on the thing are kind of busted.
For you. I believe it's also giving you a digital image, and everything you're looking through those big telescopes are giving you fake digital images.
He thinks that telescopes are giving you fake digital images? You can get telescopes. In fact, it's easier, I think, to get a telescope that's just optical. What are you talking about?
I've always used this camera I'm using right now, the P900, to get real footage of the stars.
Okay, so you think that a telescope that has no digital components and is literally just a series of mirrors and lenses is giving you digital images, but you believe that your digital DSLR camera is giving you the truth. Okay. Doesn't understand how cameras work on the bingo card.
This one starts off right with the sun. Indoctrinating people. We know the sun moves. That's what we see. The sun moves. We're stationary, and the sun moves over top of us. That's why it's called evening time. When the sun is quote unquote going down, it's evening. It's an even out time. It's evening away. Mercury, messenger of the Roman gods. They just take, our real history of when the real gods were here and not...
Oh! When the real gods were here!
Not gods, but fallen angels. And also gods...
Oh, is it not a DSLR? It's a point and shoot? I thought it was a DSLR for some reason.
Angels, the archangels, when they were here during the Millennium Reign. And they just, the ones who took over just renamed them and calls it mythology. It even has the wings on this character.
Yeah, that's Mercury is known to have that. That's like a feature of that particular god, is because they're known to be swift. They're the messenger of the gods. So they're swift, and that swiftness in part comes from the fact that their shoes, sandals, whatever, have wings on them. That same iconography and symbolism referring to speediness translates into even more modern things. Like, look at Jay Garrick, the Flash, the original Flash. Jay Garrick. His helmet has wings on it, which are supposed to be indicative or alluding to that character. Wings are a symbol of speediness, historically.
The angel wings.
Was it Mercury Roman? Yeah, but Mercury is also, I'm forgetting their name in Greek. The Roman gods are just the Greek gods renamed, basically, with slight changes. I forget the Mercury's name, and Hermes, thank you.
And then they get to Earth. And of course on this one they have to put in the fake moon landing. And then also they put that the symbol of Earth shows a globe bisected into 4 quarters. So that's actually biblical. Because it said that Earth is a circle on a square with 4 corners.
What?
So they mix in truth with lies. It's just how they do it. You know, people walk by this and that just reinstates the narrative. You know, people figure, well, if they're putting our tax money into putting this kind of stuff up in the parks, I mean, you know, it's gotta be true. Gosh, I hate those flat earthers. See, this right here tells the truth. This is...
Conspiracy theorists are very bad at trying to understand the minds of people who don't believe like they do. Like, everyone has a problem, you know, to some extent or another, understanding the motivations of people different than them. But flat earthers and conspiracy theorists at large have a big problem with the minds of other people, and I don't know why that is. But something I've noticed. Harold Elbelman with 35 months says, 35 months, walking sucks, need a bathroom all the time. Looking forward to that epidural.
Proof. They talk about the fake, because volcanoes aren't what they actually are.
Walking sucks, need a bathroom all the time. Looking forward. It came off like what's the word? The 575. It came off like a haiku. It wasn't quite, but it gave the vibe of one.
And, you know, with the moon, it's not something you can land on. It's, in my personal opinion, for years, since around 2016, 2017.
Let me guess, he's gonna say it's plasma.
I started to very, very much feel and kind of come to just know in my heart that the moon is some sort of reflection of Earth within our dome.
I've heard that from other conspiracy theorists. They think the moon isn't a physical object, but in fact is just a reflection of the Earth, like it's a mirror.
You know, I don't know how all kinds of...
Not true, by the way. The moon is an object. We checked.
Optics work. But that's, you know, that's the map of Earth. And I don't know exactly how it does it, you know? I mean, it's God's creation. And, you know, he created it in a really cool way to kind of, I don't know, kind of change, you know, maybe from physical to transparent. The god of war. Interesting what's on that shield. It would be a dog.
That would be a wolf. Probably referring to Rome. Wolves are often used to symbolize Rome, because mytho-historically Rome was founded by Romulus and Remus, who were raised by wolves. There could be other symbology involving Mars and wolf that I'm unfamiliar with.
It looks like Tartarian to me.
It looks Tartarian to you. Tartaria on the bingo card.
But the dog references
wolf. Clearly a wolf. Stone Corbell says, funny how they'll say I don't know what it is, but then wildly speculate based on nothing. Just feelings they had, and then discount hundreds of years of research and people who study this stuff for their entire lives. Because they're raw intuitive thinkers. They think that the things that they feel are the truth. To them, the truth isn't something that can be evaluated. It's something you feel.
to my really good brother and truther friend, the fittest flat earther, turned me on to how dogs are put into just a lot of different things that they put out there. And once he pointed it out, I could not see it. And that's what I love about
the wolf is one of the animals associated with Aries and Mars. The other is the boar. Makes sense.
Truth journey is, if you think you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You can always learn. There's always more to learn. You don't wake up to the truth by having ego. So you had to drop an ego a little.
Yeah, I don't like the face either. It looks like the annoying orange, but like after a heroin addiction to me.
Bit to even at least wake up to the truth. Don't stop there. Keep dropping that ego. Always think that there's more to learn. Because there always is. You know, that's why I think Flat Earth is a gatekeeping situation for a lot of fake Flat Earthers and people who are working for the other side. You know, the controlled opposition.
Controlled opposition on the bingo card? Wow, this guy's getting a lot of spaces checked off. We'll check the bingo card after this video.
They get you to Flat Earth and then make you feel that you've learned everything you could possibly learn. Flat Earth is the biggest truth ever, and you don't need to think anymore. And that stops you from a lot of extra truth that you're missing out on. So keep going. If anybody's watching this video and that's where you're at right now, and you think you know it all, and Flat Earth is the biggest thing, keep going. That is just the beginning of the journey. This one pretty much gives you a flat Earth map.
That's a diagram of the solar system. From like the top or the bottom. MH Sharkbee says, Hannah, did you see that Blumhouse is doing a horror movie remake of Disney Channel's Smart House? JK, not that the Disney version isn't kind of horror. It needs Katie Seagal, though. Take a look. Oh, I don't need you to show me Smart House. That's one of my favorite Disney Channel original movies. Directed by LeVar Burton. Blumhouse is doing I can't watch this on stream without them demonetizing, but I will watch this later. It'll probably be watchable fast food movie stuff. That's how Blumhouse's stuff mostly is. Digestible, if derivative, jump scare fests. Sometimes they have some entertaining stuff in there. M. Scheffler with 3 stream streak says, tried to trick me with an early stream. You got me. Got me. Marcus Drake says, fun fact, she-wolf is also an ancient Latin slang term for prostitute, so my headcanon Romulus and Remus was raised by a sex worker.
They talk about the asteroids, NASA going into fake space to get samples of an asteroid. You know, that whole asteroid thing, that's just to make you feel even more trapped.
Conspiracy theorist tells on themselves on the bingo card. Apparently the existence of space and asteroids, etc., makes this gentleman feel tiny and trapped. Probably a motivating reason for why he ended up getting involved in conspiracy theories, because reality became too stressful, so he had to find an out. And the out was conspiracy, a worldview where he no longer felt small and insignificant and trapped, one where he is, in fact, incredibly important to the creator of the universe. Harold Ebbleman, thanks for a 7-stream streak, says, since you wanted a near sub-baby birth haiku, belly feels so damn heavy, sub-baby coming next month. Epidurals rock. And smarter than other people.
You know, the universe is so big, you're so small, you don't mean anything. You're small, you know. Always trying to make us feel like we're small, an accident. No, we're God's creation. Very special. You know, Lucy just has a really good way of manipulating people. This might be the last one on this trail that I'm going to get for today. As always, tell me what I might have missed. And I wanted to show how...
June Corbell says, we're not trying to do anything, we're just describing what we see. Kind of the definition, the clinical definition of projection is you feel something, something occurs that makes you feel a way, and then instead of reckoning with the fact that that's an internal condition, your uncomfortability with reality is not the fault of reality. It's internal. You need to deal with that. There are people who don't deal with that, whatever the thing may be, so instead they externalize it, right? I don't feel weird because I need to come to terms with recognizing I'm not the most important thing in the universe and there isn't some sort of cosmic significance to my life. Instead of reckoning with that, they go, no, other people are making me feel this way. They're making me feel insignificant. Why would they do that? Projection.
This is a real thing. And they have these, you can Google them, and they're probably in your city. There was one other one at a different park that I knew about, and it was there a few months ago, and I went there right before this one, and they had changed it recently, so it wasn't the solar system anymore. But, you know, this is what they're doing now, and they're putting the narrative, even in your own time, when you're just walking and clearing your head, they're still giving you propaganda and mind control, even when you're out on a beautiful walk, you know, just taking in fresh air. And for most people, you know, winding down at the end of the day after being stuck at a job they hate for this fake money that we need because of Lucy. And they don't even give us a break mentally when we're on our little walks. So, guard the gates of your mind. What you think about, you bring about. If something isn't, if you're not controlling your mind, then something else is and will for you.
Well, that's a shame. Real quick, I wanted to show this before we look at the bingo card. Baja just brought this up for me. I picked this up at the thrift store the other day. This was on their free shelf. I didn't even have to pay for this. A dictionary of angels, including fallen angels. So demons, but they didn't want to write demons on this, I assume, because they knew the primary audience for this would be boomers and silent generation, and they'd be like, that says demon. I can't have something with the word demon on it in my house. So anyway, this is a dictionary of biblical and extra-biblical, but still in the sort of canon and apocrypha of Christianity or the Abrahamic faiths. Angels and demons. So it's literally just the names of different angels and demons and where they're from. It's incredible. I can't believe this was on the free section. It was awesome. And there's like illustrations of some of the stories and stuff. It's great! So that's fun. If we ever have angels brought up or demons, we can look them up in our little thing. So that's fun. Check out thrift stores. They have cool stuff, often. Hydrate can do, and then we'll take a look at the bingo card. The author, sure, I can look that up. Gustav Davidson. Gustav Davidson. Looks like this came out in 94. At least this edition. Alright, bingo card. Let's take a look real quick. See what we have. We have... Doesn't understand how cameras work. Staggering levels of hypocrisy. Flat Earth. Ancient wisdom. Giants. Sky is fake. Past lives reincarnation, Parteria, scientism, controlled opposition. Thank you, Halloween Town, listing these off. I appreciate you so much. Bad parenting. Poor understanding of Eastern philosophy or religion for the reincarnation stuff. Satanic. Anything else? We already had... Conspiracy theorist tells on themselves for his insignificant thing. And vibes-based conspiracy for personal incredulity. I don't believe we had aliens or demons. I didn't hear it, so unless other people can corroborate, I don't think we had that. Yeah, we can do spurious symbology for the wolf stuff. Did he mention MK Ultra? I don't remember that. Did anyone else corroborate? Yes, no? Did they hear that? Oh, sure. Doesn't understand their problem is capitalism. I think that tracks. Borderline of free space, but of course I would think so. I'm a lefty. Anyone? Anything? Good? Cool. I don't remember I mean, he said propaganda, but it has to specifically be MK Ultra, not just mind control. They have to mention the MK Ultra program in some way. Alright, let's see what we're gonna do next. No idea what this is other than it's about Trump, so let's check it out. Yeah, do your own research. You're right, MSKTB. "36 odd coincidences involving Trump and popular culture."
I previously have posted a series of videos that connect Donald J. Trump to dozens of Bible verses about the Antichrist.
That is so interesting. You don't usually see types like this claiming Trump is the Antichrist. They normally go after Obama or Hillary. I've seen some on Biden, but not as much because the narrative surrounding Biden is more that he's incompetent and old, less that he's dangerous amongst conspiracy types.
Simply put, the Bible has many specific descriptions of the Antichrist, and they all seem to match Trump to a T. In this video, however, it gets even stranger, as in addition to all those Bible verses pointing to Trump as the Antichrist, there are also tons of other strange coincidences about him in popular culture or in his personal life. It's as if we've been warned about this guy going back over 100 years. Many of these coincidences are common.
Funny that this guy clearly recognizes that Trump is like the archetype of a scumbag, but doesn't comport that with reality, instead choosing to dive fully into the weirdness of it, not just recognizing that, wow, he certainly fits into a type. Instead, he makes it esoteric.
Knowledge, but a few might take you by surprise as well. Some of these connect Trump to the Antichrist. Others deal with Trump and the end of the world, or the number 666. And others are just
Mark of the Beast on the bingo card.
Just weird coincidences. Really weird. By the way, I'm not claiming that this is an exhaustive list. I'm sure that there are many other odd and unusual things involving Trump out there. If you do know of anything else that I missed here, please post it in the comments below. One last thing, this is not a Bible-based video, nor do I claim that these are signs from God. So please take all of these odd coincidences.
My friend, you're talking about the Antichrist. It kind of has to be a Bible-based video by definition.
With a grain of salt. And without further delay, let's begin. Number 1. As most people know, Trump's mother is named Mary Ann McLeod,
Mary, why did you say that name?
and his father is named Frederick
I know it's Martha, but close enough.
Christ Trump. So Donald's parents are named Mary and Christ. That's not only weird, but incredibly rare if you think about all the billions of people who have ever lived and how few of them would have a mother named Mary and a father named Christ. Speaking of his mother, she once asked Trump's first wife, and I quote, "What kind of son have I created?" Number 2. Going way back to 1874, there was an anonymously authored book called The Odd Trump, which had as its hero a man named Trump. What's so strange about this book? Well, it seems like this particular Trump had a friend and sometimes rival who was named Clinton, of course. Number 3. In 1889, we find a children's book called Travels and Adventures of Little Baron Trump, which was written by a gentleman named Ingersoll Lockwood. Lockwood also penned a sequel in 1893, which was entitled Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. According to Wikipedia, these two novels recount the adventures
I don't know why he said his father was named Christ.
Of the German boy Wilhelm Heinrich Sebastian von Trump, who goes...
Oh, also, Baron Trump is not this character's name, it's his title. Trump is his name, but Baron is like his name, as in a Baron, whereas Baron Trump, Trump's son's name, is Baron. His first name is Baron.
Goes by Baron Trump, as he discovers weird...
Is Baron over 18 yet? Can we make fun of him yet?
...underground civilizations, offends the natives, flees from his entanglements with local women, and repeats this pattern until arriving back home at Castle Trump. On the surface, it's simply an odd coincidence that Donald Trump has a son named Baron, and these books talk about a little boy named Baron Trump. But that's not the weird part. Just like Donald J. Trump, the Baron Trump of these novels often mentions his massive brain. Sound familiar? Plus, he has a personalized insult for most people he meets. Does that also sound familiar? Even stranger, this Baron Trump lives in a building named after himself called Castle Trump. The real-life
Hey, he's a baron.
Donald Trump owned a casino named Trump Castle, and for years lived
He also owned the Trump Taj Mahal Casino.
in another building named for himself Trump Tower. Number 4. The author of these two books, Ingersoll Lockwood, didn't confine himself to children's books, however, as he also penned a dystopian novel called 1900, or The Last President. In this book, New York City is filled with protest following the shock victory of a populist candidate in the 1896 presidential election.
The book thing bugs me because if you look at how many books have ever been written since, like, the advent of the printing press, it's a lot. There have been a lot of books. If you looked hard enough, you're gonna find books with a combination of names that you could find. Like, if you could pick any two names and search for it, you could find books with some sort of vague similarities between things you've already predetermined. There's a lot of books. It's kind of the monkeys on typewriters things, except authors are the monkeys.
One who brings about the downfall of the American Republic. Quoting from an article in Newsweek about this book, the story begins with a scene from a panicked New York City in early November, describing a state of uproar after the election of an enormously opposed outsider candidate. The entire East Side is in a state of uproar, the article continues. Mobs of vast size are organizing under the lead of anarchists and socialists and threaten to plunder and despoil the houses of the rich who have wronged and oppressed them for so many years. The Fifth
Accidentally based on the bingo card.
Avenue Hotel will be the first to feel the fury of the mob, the novel continues, citing an address in New York City where Trump Tower now stands. Would the troops be in time to save it, the novel asks. Now, that statement about the troops sure seems eerie, considering how the real-life Donald Trump looks for any reason he can find to bring the military.
All right. I'm moving on to the next thing. He's just literally pointing at things in books and going, isn't that similar? We get it. Where's my Vatican time machine video? Around here somewhere. There we go. Kagami says, I mean, Trump is basically Hitler, literally idolizes Hitler and other dictators, and World War II was 80 years, so technically we've been warned about someone like Trump for about 100 years. Yeah.
Hey, fellow seekers, I'm Mr. Mythos. In the early 1960s, there was a Catholic priest who had it all. Father Pellegrino Ernetti was one of Italy's most accomplished exorcists, a world-class scholar of archaic music, and an elected delegate of the Vatican. But then, one day, Father Ernetti confessed to his involvement in a secret international operation. He divulged the existence of a device so powerful that it had to be disassembled almost immediately after its invention. Originally commissioned by the Pope, this device was codenamed the chronovisor. Allegedly, the chronovisor was a time machine.
Allegedly, he's doing a lot of work.
Capable of displaying historical events as if they were live broadcasts.
This is just the looking glass. This is the Trump QAnon looking glass technology, just remastered. They're taking the same sci-fi device and just applying it to a different conspiracy. Lazy. Believe sci-fi technology exists on the bingo card.
Including the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, potentially confirming the Catholic faith's truths, as well as its many inaccuracies, exaggerations, and even—
That's the Time Viewer in classic Doctor Who, and something similar reappeared in the most recent Doctor Who episodes, where they had a sort of a holodeck that could show past events. So similar, yeah.
And lies. We're about to enter a dark maze of religion, blasphemy, quantum physics, occult beliefs, and deep conspiracy. This is the complete chronovisor mystery, a tale that stretches from accidental necromancy to a mysterious deathbed confession, and several decades of bizarre controversial events in between. As written numerous times by Catholic theologians and even repeated by the Pope, the Church remembers the future, and perhaps they do, if they've already seen it. But before we dive in, just as the chronovisor would reveal the unseen, our sponsor Raycon just launched their
fuck off!
upgraded model of their best-selling everyday earbuds. Earbuds help me hear every word. As Sunny has come close now afternoon, in the early 1960s, two Catholic priests, one French and the other Italian, found themselves standing next to one another at the docks of Venice's Grand
That reminds me of today's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends.
They'd been waiting patiently to catch the next Vaporetto, the Venetian public water bus. The two had never met before, but very soon they'd become close friends, and embroiled in the center of one of the most unusual and enduring mysteries in the history of
Uses AI on the bingo card.
The Catholic Church. In his book, The Vatican's New Mystery, published in 2002, the French priest Father—
Wait, was there a raid? I didn't see it.
Francois Brune recounted this moment in time. Quote, "It was 1964. I had the knowledge, by chance, of a very strange monk, Father Pellegrino Ernetti. He was waiting for the Vaporetto. I was waiting for it too. I don't know how the conversation began. The fact is that he ended up asking me, more courtesy than for a real interest, what I was doing and where I came from."
I get it, because the Raid Shadow Legends.
Brune introduced a bit of his background to Ernetti, and as soon as they learned that they were both experts in ancient languages, the conversation swiftly kicked off. It wasn't long until Brune turned the subject to one of his most biting frustrations, the practical interpretation of the Holy Scripture. For those who've devoted themselves to what's often considered Earth's oldest and largest continually operating religious institution, the Catholic Church, small wars have been waged over accurate translation and interpretation of the original scriptures. Brune didn't hold back his feelings. Quote, "I immediately went on to discuss my irritation for the new exegetical tendency, which consists in considering the texts, and even the Gospels, exclusively for their concrete content. The tales of miracles would be nothing but fictions, metaphors for pedagogical purposes. The same words of Christ, only late literary constructions developed by the first communities. My joy was great to see that Father Ernetti completely shared my indignation. Without a doubt, it was the sincerity he saw in me that—
So basically they wanted a biblical literalist so hard that they invented a time machine that can view the past. Okay.
Decided him to
That would be the funniest reason to build a time machine, is spite. I won't argue with that. I don't think it's very likely, though.
make an allusion to a mysterious device. Since his boat came and his direction was not mine, he added quickly, "If you have time, come and visit me tomorrow afternoon at the monastery. We will talk about all these things with more comfort and privacy." End quote. As Brune boarded his Vaporetto alone and headed to his hotel, his mind churned over Ernetti's unusual response to his
he didn't say oldest extant religion. He said oldest extant religious institution, the Vatican.
frustrations.
Which I believe is true, because there isn't like a central authority in Hinduism that is as old as the Vatican and Catholicism. So certainly Hinduism is much older, but it doesn't have an organization that is like the head of it. Jamie Lynn with 50 bits says, "Hi Hannah, just wanted to let you all know I got married to my new husband yesterday. Took a few years, but we finally did it. Congrats! Congratulations."
While Ernetti clearly agreed with him, the Italian priest not so subtly hinted at a complete solution, that there wouldn't be any reason to doubt or debate about the contents of the Bible if some sort of device possessed by the Vatican was capable of providing definitive answers. Interpretation would never be a problem again.
Well, that would be convenient. Dumbest reason to invent a time machine, but go for it.
Father Brune had no idea what to make of the device, as the monk didn't elaborate. But whether it was a secret papal tool for divination, or just an intellectual thought experiment, he was certainly intrigued. So, the very next day, Brune took the Vaporetto to the San Giorgio Maggiore monastery to accept Ernetti's invitation. This decision would irrevocably alter the course of his life. Father Francois Brune passed away in January of 2019, and up until his last breath, he vouched for the truth of the chronovisor and the sincerity of his friend Father Pellegrino Ernetti. Brune's 2002 book, The Vatican's New Mystery, is rather obscure and difficult to read, with no English translation ever published. I ended up acquiring 2 copies, the French original and a slightly rarer Italian edition, so that I'd be able to cross-compare when translating and make sure I'm reading everything correctly. Brune's book is widely considered to be the most accurate and complete resource on the chronovisor mystery, and
I feel like the bar is low. Like, if I just make something up and write a book about it, you could say that it's, you know, the most accurate and thorough, you know, take on whatever thing I made up, because it's the only one. It's easy to do when you're, you know, making up your own shit.
yes, I manually translated both copies page by page and read the entire book a few times. It's a very unique
Jamie Lynn, thanks for gifting a sub.
and unconventional book. All throughout, it's very obvious that the chronovisor mystery and the fate of his longtime friend Pellegrino Ernetti did genuinely haunt Father Brune for decades. As he wrote in the introduction, quote, "Observing the little that remains of disappeared civilizations so grandiose, there is a clear impression that oblivion, insensibly, holds everything, and that everything returns as if nothing had been. But I am convinced that nothing of what we say, we do, or even think is lost. There is nothing that one day should not be revealed, says the gospel. Someone has truly realized an appliance that would allow you to know all this, to see, to listen to the men of the past. Not a reconstruction, but the event itself, when it really occurred. This man was a priest, like me, more precisely a monk, a man of faith, prayer, and a man of science."
Literally describe a function of physics that would allow this to happen. Are you going to even try and describe the functioning of this device outside of the final result?
Today he passed into the afterlife. He brought his secret with him, as they say in science fiction novels. He left traces, documents, but they're not accessible. They are carefully kept under key, preserved but hidden. I will explain why I keep the very strong impression that there has been and that there is something that the high authorities hide from us, probably for the good of humanity." End quote. Brune's book presents his recollections, personal opinions, research findings, interview transcripts, and extensive investigations that he carried out after Ernetti's death, regardless of the threat to his own reputation and career. He believed in the Vatican time television and was fully aware of how crazy that sounds. The clock ticks, the past awaits. So, rewinding to where we left off, it was the next morning. Father Brune arrived at the small wooden doors of the San Giorgio Maggiore monastery and knocked upon them. The doors pulled open, and the French priest was met by Father Ernetti's humble smile, ushering him to come inside. The two made their way down the shaded, quiet hallway toward the monk's monastic cell. As Brune recalled, quote, Father Ernetti's office was a large, long room with a very high ceiling. It included an immense table, also very long and robust, of solid wood, covered with books in evident disorder. The table was...
It would solve so many murders, it would prevent them. It can see the future, too. It can see the future and the past.
certainly ancient.
So it would be like Minority Report, but accurate.
As well as the chairs with their high backs, a little in the Louis XIII style. It would have been an extraordinary setting for a theatrical work, for example, for a performance of Faust. Only a phone seemed rather out of place and spoiled the whole setting. End quote. After exchanging friendly pleasantries, they sat together in the high chairs and spent time getting to know each other, their family, backgrounds, studies, careers, and general interests. It was clear the two priests had a lot in common, and a lot to talk about. However, as the icebreaker conversation dragged on for well over an hour, Brune could tell that Ernetti was avoiding the actual issue at hand, the mysterious device he'd hinted at the day before, and the reason why Brune had been invited over in the first place. Finally, Father Brune decided to ask directly, and the monk's face turned visibly serious. For a long moment, the room went silent. Quote, Father Ernetti probably regretted having committed too soon to a fellow brother.
Rachology says, congrats, you just independently invented the terrible 90s BBC sci-fi show, Crime Traveler. Don't look it up. What about Time Cop? I like Time Cop, the show, and the movie.
About whom he still knew almost nothing. So, before coming to the revelation of this mystery, he wanted to test me. He then began to tell me an extraordinary episode, which was not yet what I was waiting for, but which was already itself a prodigious discovery, perfectly incredible, astonishing, and yet authentic. That day he would not communicate anything else to me, but it was enough to make me return to the hotel in the evening, completely bewildered. End quote. The story Father Ernetti told to Brune regarded the rather unusual origins of his work in paranormal research for the Vatican. On September 17th, 1952, in a university laboratory in the historic city of Milan, Father Pellegrino Ernetti was filtering out harmonics from Gregorian chants using a wire recorder in order to obtain the purest audio of the chants. Working alongside him in the lab was Father Agostino Gemelli, a respected physician and psychologist, and a notable skeptic of paranormal phenomena. That
He's a monk!
detail is important, because Gemelli would...
I know that in theory you could become a monk and believe in the tenets of Catholicism without literally believing in the supernatural elements, but I don't know. Feels like a weird career choice to me.
Later verified that this incident happened exactly as Ernetti described. As the pair worked on the chants, their wire recorder began to malfunction. According to Brune, quote, Father Gemelli had an old habit, from the death of his father, like an automatic tick. Every time he was presented with some difficulties, he exclaimed, thinking of his father, "Ah, Dad, help me." That day, the wire recorder broke once again. "Ah, Dad, help me," he says immediately, as usual. After they set the wire recorder back in motion, instead of the voices chanting in Gregorian, a different male voice came through. "Of course I will help you. I am always with you."
A very natural way of speaking.
Terrified, Gemelli stopped the device immediately. Father Ernetti insisted, though, "We have to continue.
I like that this is all literally just like hearsay, and you're supposed to be like, oh, that's incredible. Okay, I'm moving on. Nothing bothers me more than it's literally just like a story of hearsay people are telling. Drives me nuts. Okay, let's see what's next. It's the ASMR conspiracy guy. Hooray.
So we have more material from a website that purports to produce parody, satire, and humor. RealRawNews.com. Link to the actual article in the description box down below. Marines ambush FEMA ahead of Hurricane Beryl in South Texas.
Marines ambush FEMA.
And Michael Baxter, July 8th, 2024. A federal emergency management agency, FEMA, advanced disaster relief team predictably arrived in South Texas Sunday morning ahead of Hurricane Beryl and was greeted by a white hat welcoming committee brandishing rifles and conveying an inimical ultimatum: surrender or die.
Demibird with a 3-stream streak says, yeah, I didn't miss stream, waiting for my power to come back on. Had to ask Dad for $500 for old power bills because utilities isn't included in my subsidized housing. That sucks. Jubilee Helix with a link real quick. See what it is. What in the world? What a very strange video.
As the monstrous storm began its shift to the northeast last week and a Texas landfall seemed imminent, White Hats at U.S. Army Cyber Command and Marine Corps Forces Cyberspace Command heightened digital surveillance on FEMA's D.C. headquarters and Region 6 office in Denton, Texas, anticipating the persistent cowards would once again use the storm as an excuse to plunder and terrorize citizens. FEMA's unyielding tenacity.
There are conspiracy theories, for those that don't know, that believe that FEMA exists secretly to fuck with people and to kidnap them and murder them instead of what it is for, which is to administer, like, disaster relief after natural disasters and to help people. Not to say it's always been perfect at that job, but nonetheless, not there to specifically murder you.
Continues to surprise White Hat leaders, a source in General Eric M. Smith's office told Real Raw News. The diametrically opposed entities skirmished 16 times in April, May, and June as unprecedented tornado outbreaks laid waste to entire communities in the Great Plains and the South. Despite suffering heavy casualties, FEMA kept sending lambs to be slaughtered. White Hats decimated FEMA at every turn while suffering only minor casualties themselves. Real Raw News previously covered a few of this spring's engagements, but reporting on each would be overwhelming. Our source said U.S. Marines tallied 4 more enemy kills yesterday morning after a Beechcraft Air ferrying a FEMA logistics specialist and 10 armed agents landed at Conroe North Houston Regional Airport. The Marines, he added, had foreknowledge of the flight and had set up an ambush 2 miles south of the airport while spotters vigilantly watched the runway for approaching air traffic. At approximately 4:30 a.m.
Seems like he's trying to give off reporter vibes, but with none of the charisma. I think it's less than no charisma. He gets scary, especially when he starts talking about people getting murdered. He gets all close to the mic. Bad.
Owned by the Texas Division of Emergency Management, TDED, unaffiliated with FEMA, met the King Air on the tarmac. However, TDED presence at the airfield was proof that at least some within that department were in league with the feds and therefore equally liable. FEMA deplaned and boarded the bus, which then left the airport in the direction of Interstate 45. Had their mission been successful, they would have driven a short distance to Houston proper, where they would have waited out the storm, ascertained the hardest hit areas, and summoned reinforcements. But a spike strip Marines had stretched across the road at the last moment cut FEMA's trip short. The spikes punctured the front tires, and the bus...
They're not even describing anything that they say FEMA does. You have to already be a conspiracy theorist and assume FEMA is evil to even have this story make sense. Bumble Homestead with 100 bits says, my brother-in-law, who we are no longer in contact with, thought FEMA was beheading people in the trailers. Even the logistics of that made no sense. Gamer G says, cheers for being chill content to watch while I'm working or gaming. Something about tinfoil days makes my week. Well, thank you, I'm glad.
Skidded to a halt, suddenly surrounded by 18 gung-ho devil dogs who commanded the stunned passengers to place their weapons on the deck and exit the bus with their fingers interlaced over their heads. The driver, presumably a TDED employee, freaked out, wheeling his arms and screaming, "What the fuck is this?" as he dashed out the door.
Yeah, if paramilitary people force you out of your car while you're trying to administer relief aid, you would probably freak out. Again, luckily this didn't happen at all, but still, within the fiction of the story.
Taking panic for aggression, the Marine fired his weapon and dropped the frenzied driver, the shots causing hysteria among the passengers, who wouldn't leave the bus for fear of being murdered. "You murdered our driver!" a FEMA agent shouted, his melon a tempting target visible past the open door. The lead Marine told him no one else had to die that day if they surrendered immediately. The visibly frantic agent asked the Marines for time, asking he needed 10 minutes to speak with his fellow agents to calm their agitation. "I'll be generous. You have 2 minutes," the lead Marine said. Boisterous voices on the bus became loud enough to hear, and the agents seemed embroiled in a heated debate over whether to admit defeat or die fighting. Amid the chaos, a shot rang out. An obviously inexperienced agent who probably never before handled the firearm had shot point blank at a closed window. The glass remained remarkably intact, but only until the Marines returned fire and sent dozens of rounds into it. The idiotic agent and 2 comrades caught a face full of lead and glass. The remaining agents implored the Marines to cease fire and tossed their weapons out the door.
The surviving agents were subdued and taken into custody. Interrogations are underway. They had a cache of weapons in the luggage compartment and a refrigerated cooler with 1,500 unlabeled pre-filled syringes. The prisoners say it's insulin, but we're waiting on a chemical analysis.
In closing, he said White Hats must now investigate TDED to determine the scope of...
I imagine if you're a conspiracy theorist, you're supposed to assume it's vaccines, but in your mind, if you're a conspiracy theorist, vaccines are evil and poison instead of the reality that they're preventative medicine.
Of their involvement, and that Marines will remain in hurricane-ravaged areas watching for further FEMA activity. Hurricane Beryl spun ashore early Monday, leaving 2 million
I have
South
UFO
Texas
shorts on,
households
by the way.
without
They're
power
cute.
and
They glow in the dark.
spawning killer tornadoes in Louisiana.
M. Scheffler says, who do they think is reporting this stuff, and why would no one else report about this? Like, do all the agents have no family or friends? It's a website called Real Raw News that's basically a QAnon news website. To protect their asses, they claim it's satire, but in reality, not satire as much as it's QAnon fan fiction written to please QAnon audiences that'll read it and go, oh yeah, they just have to say this is satire to hide the truth.
So remember to love God as if he is...
Like Peter used to believe Real Raw News. I don't know if he still does, but at one point I know he cited it.
Well...
And he believed it was true.
Just remember to love God. Remember to love God. And try not to let the corrupt elite, their puppet politicians, puppet prosecutors, puppet judges, puppet governments, NATO, or the deep state kill you.
Deep state on the bingo card. Okay, I gotta use the bathroom real quick. Well, we do that. Find the next video we're gonna watch real quick. This one looks weird. Let's see what am I gonna have Chair tell you about while I use the bathroom. Chair will tell you about one of my favorite Christmas films when I was a kid, Richie Rich's Christmas Wish. Be back. Thanks, Amber Pretzels. They're comfy, too. No pockets. M. Scheffler says, I know it's real raw news, but why would anyone think any of this could happen without anyone else hearing about it? Because you could in a fictional story. Because it means that they're right if it's true. Motivated reasoning. I feel like I say that a lot, but it's oftentimes the answer. Yeah, we can go over bingo real quick. Mark of the Beast, indeed. Do your own research. The Deep State. Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? I think that's it. Oh yeah, sure, for the Trump guy. Doesn't know what a coincidence is. Sure. Nah, the little interstitials I do before bathroom breaks don't count, because that's just a running bit. And I didn't mention what it was, other than it's a movie. What was 39? I know Trump was mentioned. Did we get a Biden, Obama's, or Clinton's? I know we got Trump, but I don't actually think the others were mentioned. Nice, Professor Strangefinger. Yeah, Criterion's doing their 50% off this month at Barnes & Noble and on their website. Clinton was mentioned? Okay. I'll mark it. So yeah, if you like Criterion stuff, check it out. I did just mention Blu-rays because of that. I'm a dumb bitch. So there you go. Now you have Hannah mentions Blu-rays too. Oh yeah, it was a character named Clinton, but they were alluding to Hillary, so that's fine. That counts. Get into it. Nope, we don't have aliens or demons.
Made a quick little drawing. I finished up today. I've been sitting in my sketchbook for a long time. I just decided to color it in and write in all the thought, write in all the speech bubbles and make it a full artistic work, simple as it is. I think there's a lot that can be conveyed here, and it's just what you run into, people with all the garish, loud clothing and
This is not Hans, but it is the guy that we watched a little bit ago that is a fan of Hans and has very similar beliefs.
Crazy accessories usually are the ones that aren't great, and the people that are relatively simple in nature, not meaning they're simpletons, but they don't feel the need to go over the top with their regalia, their look. They are the ones that you can have more faith in, because it's their word. They're simple. They're easy to understand. They're not so convoluted and complex. And anyways, so here you have, Captain Everywhere, person, most common of the 4 types of people we see out here, right here. Pudgy, it's just a woman on tea. Little beard there, no other hair in the rest.
Transphobia transvestigation on the bingo card. He's transvestigating a drawing he did.
Their body. And then, I jokingly gave them hooves. I don't really know. Maybe they do have hooves. They got the orange.
Oh, he talks exactly like Hans, which throws me off, because it makes me think, do they both have something in their brain that both correlates between, this particular delusion and their speech patterns? But now I'm just drawing, lines between things. Now I'm the conspiracy theorist, because that's just a coincidence, probably. There's nothing causal that would make those two things, right? Maybe it's Hans's kid? Who knows?
Pants. They got the Under Armour logo. They got the watch. The little joke with the crab claws. But yeah, it feels like that. And then, yeah, they got the little cowboy hat, 'cause that's what they are. So it says Mars, planet, Corona, war, Israel, communists, Nazis, Ukraine, Trump. Oh, don't forget to curse Christ and push atheism. So all of these words I'm saying, this is just someone that's, this example is obvious, it's exaggerated. No one's ever just listed off all the nonsense.
Stop Hans-vestigating. I think everyone is secretly Hans Wormhat. That's my conspiracy theory.
Things that are literally just baiting topics, because they're either them usually having a little giggle, like, oh, look at this person who's not in our little thing, let's just play Fantasyland with them and see how far it goes. You have to cut it right there. You don't, in the past, in my life, let's see, these right here, the Ukraine thing, I remember this was 3, maybe 4 years ago, when like 3 years ago, when I was gardening for this uber wealthy family, who really knows, in Connecticut. I'll make a video on that guy soon. It's ridiculous. The lawyer. Ugh. He would always he would often be leaving, going to not do work, sit at the top of his lawyer tower, his law firm, whatever, where he had his 2 bimbos.
Radiology says everyone else is Hans other than Hans, who's actually Lizard Hannah in a different skin suit.
Strats underneath him, and his bimbo wife, and they would all put on their little. It was just awkward. I said this before. Only Swire have ever been extremely flirtatious with me, and it's because I know at heart, hey, I can convince.
So anytime a woman has flirted with him, he just assumed she was secretly trans? Very strange.
A real man that I'm a hot sexy thing. Even his wife, who's like probably 60 something now, was like in like tight short shorts, just gross. It's a dude with all.
Harold Elberman says, something happened on Christian nationalist radio that I wanted to share. Hannah, the host, was talking about the fact that sure, some preacher folk are discredited, read sex criminals, etc., but what to do about the good advice they've given to their flocks? It hit me hard that these people can't ever be problematic can't ever have the problematic fave problem, when his solution was to ignore the source completely and say that everything good they gave you came from God and not them. Yikes.
All the makeup and just probably a reptile or some sort of
reptilians on the bingo card
individual underneath. But back on point.
Who wears short shorts? We wear short.
This guy, with his status and all the supposed money and whatnot, he would come down the drive, and I'd be like, I don't know, mulching a tree or pruning what was it down there? It was the magnolias and such. And I remember this one time, he really caught me off guard, because cars nowadays are pretty quiet in a lot of electrical vehicles, and even the gas vehicles, it seems like nowadays are much more quiet than they used to be. They don't have the same chugga chugga chugga. You don't hear them a mile away. He came up to me and he's like, "Oh man, you hear about Ukraine?" And I'm like, "Oh, I haven't really, I don't really watch the news. I don't really know what's going on." And he's like, "Oh, there's so much going on over there, and all these people are having to evacuate." And just the most basic stuff, just to keep it in my mind. And I'm like, "Oh well," I think I responded with "Oh well, I'll pray for them or something. Hopefully they're okay, and this is a short-lived, hellish experience for them." And he just gave me his Joker smile, and then drove off to his fake job. So I think a lot of lawyers basically have fake jobs. It's a very easy arena for them to throw in these Mason characters and just give them...
I'm sorry, did he just say being a lawyer is easy?
Bullshit cases and demand a lot of money, and it's just such a... The legal system is corrupt inherently. I don't even... If people are all following Christ in this truth of just the truth, then you wouldn't need all this convolution, and it's completely Masonic.
Hey, I don't know how to break this to you, but historically there have been plenty of areas where everyone is Christian and they still have courts and crime. I don't know if you know this. Your particular religion, no matter what it is, does not fix crime. Please stop.
The whole legal system is just fake and messed up. And you hear it played off all the time, and you hear, I've heard it from Baffos since day one, that many lawyers are slimy and gross, and they are. And it's beyond that. I mean, there's a lot more slimy people out there than just lawyers, but they are.
Stone Corbell says it's sad that people in this guy's life are trying to connect with him and converse with him, and he's too wrapped up in his bigotry to notice. I bet he analyzes literally anything anyone says to him through this lens, making relationships completely impossible. Yeah, conspiracy theorists will sometimes do that. They'll isolate themselves and make the world a very difficult place to live for themselves. Sad.
Of the slimiest ilk, doctors come up there too, because they're the ones that are uber wealthy, and they think that they're godlike because they have silver sword tongues and they can say 4-syllable, 5-syllable words.
Ooh, 4-syllable.
And think that you don't know them, or...
Nearest Crowhill, thanks for 36 months, says, "Hey Hannah, while we have a baby on screen, it would be a good time to name the new sub-baby. Joya McNasty, Daisy Taylor McNasty, and Danzy Sings Jr. Need a name for their sibling. Oh no." Why did I name 2 of your sub-babies after porn stars? What the fucking world? What's wrong with me? I don't know. Bob Dole McNasty. There you go.
That you're somehow some peasant. And
No, I don't think that was
this,
anti-Semitic.
This amazing, finely tuned, god-like being, deity, when in reality they're just an ugly, lying, wretched, probably hate themselves deep down because they have they have this false impression of themselves, and deep down their heart knows, because they have the choices. They cannot act like this. They have the choices. They have free will. Their heart knows that everything's awry, and the outward response to that is just to yell at people.
Okay, I'm gonna move on. This is an hour-long video, and he's just gonna keep going. Just gonna keep going. I feel bad for this guy, just like I feel bad for Hans. It seems like a lot of his conspiratorial stuff is wrapped up in his own insecurities. That's very sad. I hope he's able to get some help at some point, and I do wonder if he's related to Hans or something. It's just startling to me how similar their speech patterns are, and how their vocabulary is the same, and their beliefs are identical, seemingly. Very strange. Oh, wait, what was? Check out Cabbage Guy. How's Cabbage Guy doing?
Hey guys. Got a few
Apparently just the intro was like
things that we're working on. Sorry for the delay, but lots of new stuff is coming soon. Hope you guys are enjoying your summer. Today, I wanted to do a movie breakdown. Haven't done one in a while, and this movie is very bizarre. Not too many people have heard of it because it's a French film, but it's a really surreal, dark fantasy movie with a bunch of esoteric symbolism and references to
looks like a Gilliam movie.
Multiple real-world conspiracies. I thought it would be cool to go over and point out all the weird stuff in the movie. So if you haven't seen it, keep in mind there will be spoilers, but it is a long movie, so I don't think it's that bad if you want to see the breakdown and then go watch it for yourself after. The movie we're diving into today is called The City of Lost Children from 1995. It's a pretty wild ride, and we're gonna unpack all the strange, hidden meanings and symbols packed into this fever dream of a film. Once you see what's beneath the surface, you'll never look at this movie the same way again. With that, get some popcorn.
Has anyone seen Brazil? That looks like French Brazil. Does that make sense?
Sit back.
Again, I've not seen this movie, so it might be totally different, but just the single images I'm getting kind of make me go, Brazil?
Let's get started. The movie starts off with a kid's bedroom, all decked out for Christmas, but something's off. There's not just one Santa, but a whole bunch of them start creeping in.
That's off-putting as a visual. I like that. Rageology says the ultimate unanswered questions of Tinfoil days is who is the twink at the start of this guy's video and why did he decide to make his channel's mascot? He's hot.
It actually starts to get pretty terrifying.
Love Brazil, it's on DVD. The Blu-ray's on sale right now with Criterion's 50% off sale. Why do I do that? They should pay me. They're gonna have me shill, I should get paid. I'm not getting paid.
This poor kid
Reverse what I just said. Look for your own deals.
is watching in horror as these Santas start taking all his stuff. And then to add to the weirdness, there's this albino reindeer that decides now's the great time to take a dump. It's basically some type of surreal Christmas nightmare. Suddenly, we get to a new scene. A guy's waking up, screaming his head off, with some kind of freaky device strapped onto his head. But he's not alone. There are 4 identical twins who start screaming right along with them.
They would be quadruplets. They're identical. Twins? You can't, that's twins is 2. quadruplets.
So they're in some kind of lab, and then it only gets weirder from here. They all stop screaming at once and gather around this contraption. There's a little kid hooked up to it, clutching a teddy bear for dear life. And then it says that some mad genius named Crank is stealing this kid's dreams. This is pretty trippy. We see a brain, just a brain, trying to talk some sense into the scientist. It's asking how is this madness going to end? But instead of answering, the scientist grabs the kid's teddy bear and starts beating the crap out of it.
It's always interesting to me when conspiracy theorists watch a movie with surreal imagery and can't understand why someone would show surreal imagery other than with nefarious intent. I'm someone who likes surreal films. I like stuff like Brazil or The Fisher King, stuff like that, where there is sort of like weird imagery going on. That's Fisher King isn't even the best example, but you know, a lot of Gilliam movies are like that, where they have kind of weird visual stuff going on. And I really like that stuff. It makes you think. Like, it presents you with very odd things that you have to interpret, and that engages your mind actively, and it makes you think about the themes and what's going on in the movie and what the production design says about the world it takes place in. And these things are all cool and important. But conspiracy theorists just see it and go, why would you do this? They don't like it, so they go, why would you do this? And they assume it's nefarious. So interesting.
The camera pans out and we see this lab is perched above the ocean in some crazy surreal setting. It seems to be some type of oil rig. The teddy bear falls out the window, sinking into the depths below. It's a pretty blatant symbol, but we'll get into what it all means later. Next thing we know, we're in this dark, dystopian looking town. There are a couple of kids messing around with a slingshot by the docks, and the whole place has this gloomy, oppressive vibe. We see one of those strength tester games, like the ones where you hit the lever with the hammer. At the very top, near the bell, it says, "The City of Lost Children." So I guess that's the name of the city? Turns out there's some kind of circus in town. We hear an announcer hyping up the crowd for the world's strongest man. But that's not all. In the same shot, we're shown this weird cult or secret society handing out pamphlets. They're spouting some nonsense about penetrating the corridors of the shadows to become one of the chosen ones. I wonder what they're referencing.
Probably something in the movie.
To hammer home the whole secret society angle.
Probably foreshadowing.
There's an Eye of Providence symbol behind them.
That's how movies work.
Obviously referencing Freemasons.
I mean, it's probably generally referencing some sort of big brother watching you. If it's a dystopian society, you see eyeball visually and symbology used often to convey the idea that the government, the state, or its agents are always watching, Wazowski. Always watching. Doesn't need to be Freemasons. Freemasons on the bingo card.
These guys are actually asking people to pluck out their eyes to join them and build a better world. Nothing says utopia like a bunch of self-mutilated cultists. While all this is going down, we see a couple of
It's just reminding me of the scene from Gulliver's Travels where they offer him eternal life in exchange for blindness.
Kids trying to pickpocket the crowd. They seem to be street urchins, and they're targeting this little one who's collecting money for the strongman. Turns out this kid's just another orphan in this messed up city. The announcer tries to stop the kids from stealing, but out of nowhere, some dude pops up and stabs him in the back. Then the guy just bolts after that, leaving everyone in shock. Our strongman, who's been chained up this whole time, breaks free, and he's worried about the announcer, but it's too late. As the crowd gathers around the poor stabbed guy, we get a glimpse of something shady going down in the shadows.
Do something funny, Jason Proxy. Do something funny. H-Bird says, someone should show this guy Warriors of Virtue. The anthropomorphic kung fu kangaroos are clearly Illuminati. I watched that recently. It was recently released on Blu-ray. The last year or so.
There's this group of people lurking around, and one of them only has one eye. The other two are wearing sunglasses.
Is this one of the guys that thinks movies are real? He thinks that the symbolism in movies is a secret disclosure of reality. Radiology says 50% of the time when the question is, why is this surreal imagery is asked, the answer is because it's French.
Just like those cult weirdos that we saw earlier handing out the pamphlets. So, it's not that hard to figure out that these guys probably had something to do with the murder. It's already going pretty hard with the secret society stuff. But here's where it gets even creepier. As this mysterious group takes off, we see a bunch of flyers in the background. They're saying stuff like, enough disappearances, where are our children, and missing person notice, high reward.
I've seen Nightmare on Elm Street enough to know where this is going. Zealous55, thanks for 37 months, says soon this will turn into another strong man tenderly kissing the tied up strong man. Did you get a sub baby last month? We know. Nemesaur Colboth says, I know you give blessings for job interviews, but do you have any minor blessings for social situations going well? There's a crafting group meeting at our local library tonight, and I've been working myself all week to attend. You will attend, and it will be a lovely time. Consider yourself blessed.
So it's pretty clear this town's got a serious problem with kids vanishing. It seems that it has something to do with this one-eyed cult. Next thing we know, we're at this caravan.
Dillis Filler says, penetrate the corridor of shadows is the weirdest DTF I've heard. You haven't fucked goths.
The stabbed announcer is laid up in the bed, and that orphan kid from before is just chilling, having a bite to eat. Suddenly, an apple and a string bumps against the window. They're literally fishing for kids. The strong man's not gonna have any of it, so he grabs the apple and shuts the door. This cult is trying to steal the child, and they're not gonna give up that easy. One of them with the one-eye device shoots the door open, and they seem to have this device that gives them this night vision. The strong man and the orphan try to hide, but these guys have some kind of sound amplifier. They eventually find them.
Yeah, they're like steampunk cyborgs.
But the strongman puts up a fight. In all the chaos, we see the poor orphan kid getting stuffed into the van. And then again, we see the Masonic eye symbol right on the van, which is the hole that the kid is stuffed through. The strongman chases after them, but the van gets away. He ends up in this small building by the water, where he finds a whole group of
it's Ron Perlman!
Street orphans. Turns out, the kid they took is known as...
Wow, look at him there. He's young. Jesus Christ.
little brother.
Like, I'm not crazy. Is that Ron Perlman, or is it just a guy who looks a lot like him? I could be wrong. Is it the 90s? Early mid-90s?
The cult's still after the strongman, and it seems they're trying to take him out.
It is? Okay.
He plays
nice.
dead when they come into the orphan's hideout, and these are the same orphans that we saw stealing earlier, and they got a pretty big stash. The bad guys don't notice our strongman, but they do help themselves to all the orphans' money before taking off. But the orphans aren't totally broke. They got even more cash stashed away that the Cyclops...
Yeah, he's basically walking us through the movie plot point by plot point and explaining how he thinks it's nefarious.
...didn't find. That's what they're calling these one-eyed people in the cult. The kids grab their money and dip, and the strongman decides to follow them. Okay, now we start to get weird. We got 4 identical brothers, which definitely seem to be clones, singing Happy Birthday to a brain. And it's not just a person with a brain, it's a straight up brain in some steampunk contraption. This brain's name is Uncle Irvin, and he's got this whole setup where he can see and hear everything going on.
The fact that this is even that surreal to him is wild to me. It makes me realize how sheltered some people are in terms of the art they consume. Because, like, brain in a jar is not that weird. Brain in a jar is, like, basic bitch shit in terms of, like, surreal imagery. It's not complex. Yeah, it was in Tammy and the T-Rex. It's in Fallout New Vegas DLC. The idea of a brain in a jar is not that weird in culture, in pop culture, and stories.
Kind of like Siri's creepy great-grandfather or something. So in walks the mad scientist, Crank. He's not too thrilled about
the movie's called The City of Lost Children.
This little birthday party. But Uncle Irvin's got some interesting ideas.
Technically, that's a little different, Schifazoa. Descartes' analogy was about a demon creating a fantasy universe. The modern equivalent is the brain in a jar. Profane Priestess says he hates brains in jars. Don't take him to Big Mountain.
He's theorizing that maybe the reason kids are only having nightmares is because the evil is coming from Crank himself, not the kids. Uncle Irvin suggests Crank look for the reason
Now I
for
want to play Fallout New Vegas.
his trauma and
Someone pitch me an idea for a Fallout New Vegas character, and maybe later I'll start it.
his own tears. Then the brain launches into this fairy tale that's clearly about Crank himself. It's all about this super smart inventor who could create life. He made himself a wife, but she ended up tiny thanks to some wicked genetic fairy. Then he cloned 6 kids, but they all got narcolepsy or something. Finally, he grew a brain in a fish tank. That's our boy Irvin. The issue is this genius inventor forgot to give himself the ability to dream. So he's aging fast and miserably. Crank starts crying when he hears this because, surprise, it's his own story. So basically he's very
I've played New Vegas on stream before, I think.
smart, but he can't dream, and that's why he's stealing kids' dreams. Next scene, we're back with the orphans. This is interesting because they're in this weird school run by conjoined twin teachers. But instead of math and reading, they're learning how to become thieves. It's kind of like another underground cult, and the teacher's called the Octopus. The strongman shows up, and the teachers decide that he can help with the heavy lifting. They take this safe down to the water,
Dreaming long enough will kill you. Not if you're on Hypnosil.
empty it out, and then ditch it. But then the strongman hears those Cyclops making announcements over a loudspeaker. And then we get some more of that
The French also love steampunk. Yeah, their version of Tomorrowland in Paris Disneyland, or whatever, French Disneyland, is Jules Verne themed. Which I think is a good call. Looks nice.
one-eyed imagery. The strongman, who we now know is called One, is on the hunt for his...
Okay, I'm moving on. He's literally just describing this whole fucking movie. And it's already too goddamn much. Feels like lazy content. And I'm lazy for just watching it. Let's move on to something else.
And it's not supposed to speak about.
It is Euro Disney. Euro Disney is in France.
Everyone, Johnny here, don't speak news. News you're not supposed to speak about. And I've got some of that pulled up right here. Mike Stone.
No, you can buy alcohol in Epcot at the World Showcase in the United States.
Someone wrote an article, and it's over on henrymakow.com.
I don't bring it up as much on stream as movies, but I'm also into theme parks, so I know a lot of random theme park facts. Well, thank you, Professor Strangefinger. You're fun to hang out with, too.
And it's entitled 10 Things I Hate About My Fellow Americans. And after reading through it, I have to say that I tend to agree with most of this, if not all of it. And I say that because it's the behaviors that I hate, guys, not the people themselves, but the behaviors that they exhibit, the cowardice and everything else that we're going to talk about here. But suffice it to say, this also could apply to the mainstream churches at large here in America.
You can
too.
buy alcohol in parts of the Anaheim one. The Star Wars land has some alcohol, too. Whatever it's called. Star Wars. I don't remember what the fuck the Star Wars land is called specifically. But the Star Wars land in Anaheim, the bar in there does have alcohol. So that as well. Annie Kai says, I forgot I had these. Thank you for all the bits. Galaxy's Edge, thank you.
Because they fell for all of these things as well. So after 4 years of fake viruses, fake pandemics, fake elections, fake food, fake shootings, and fake everything, I've made the following observations about my fellow Americans. Number one, America's made up of dupes, fools, and morons. Indeed.
Idiot says they're a genius on the bingo card. Rageology says for a brief moment they were considering building Euro Disney in Britain. God, it would have been wonderfully shit.
I would agree. How else can you explain over 60% of the population voluntarily injecting themselves with a fake vaccine for a phony
It's not fake, sir. It works. Sorry that you were misinformed.
virus? How else can you explain roughly 99% of the population continuing to visit the very same doctors who just tried to poison them?
Because they didn't. You're misinformed. Again, you're a conspiracy theorist anti-vaxxer. You're not an authority on this. In fact, you're kind of the opposite.
Indeed. Stop going to
Densetsu, can I see your card? Can you link it in either Discord, in live stream chat, or in the Twitch chat if you can get to it?
Fine. If she was pushing those shots. Who else but a complete retard would do such a thing?
Yikes.
Number two, Americans are incapable of handling the truth. Call it stupidity, call it immaturity, call it fear. They are so thoroughly brainwashed they're never going back to reality, or never coming back to reality. And that's the truth. And it's not
the irony.
Just Americans.
Yeah, that's strike one.
Guys, what I'm talking about here, it's around the world. In fact, some of you write to me and tell me some of these same things going on in your countries. So, yeah, this is worldwide.
Let me take a look at your bingo card. Idiot says they're a genius, bad parenting, free space, poor understanding of philosophy or Eastern religion, and the deep state. You win! You win. Let me see. Can I gift you specifically a membership on YouTube? How does that work? How am I gonna do this? I don't know what to do in this scenario.
Not just America. Number three, Americans are filled with false pride. That's true. That prevents them from admitting when they're wrong. That's absolutely a fact, guys.
You can't gift like that on YouTube? Well, that's incredibly dumb.
This is
I can gift someone on Twitch ears. Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you. I will do a random gift sub. Well, thank you, Densetsu. I'm sure whoever gets this sub will appreciate it. Let's see who gets the random gift sub. Round and round and round it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. Let's see who wins the gift sub. It's going. Ralph Lou, you get the random gift sub, courtesy of Densetsu over on YouTube. So thank you very much for your generosity. And congrats on the bingo win.
This one's a head scratcher.
So that's our official winner for the day. We will still play for fun.
If someone shows me truthful evidence that counters...
Ooh, reference to They Live on the bingo card. That's a They Live poster, or drawing, fan art.
Belief I have. I'm the first to say, you know, you're right. I was wrong about that. Me too.
Yeah, here we are. No, we don't reset the cards.
I can't count.
You can keep playing on your current card if you win by the end.
How many times I've admitted that I've been wrong about something and then change course because of it. That's called being wise. That's called when you get new factual information, you know, you may need to change your opinion on some things.
Yes, I would agree.
But not Americans. Nope. We've got this false pride that just prevents us from admitting when we're wrong for the most part. Like I said, I can do it, and people like Mike Stone can do it. I know some of you can do it, but there's very few. Number four, Americans believe anything and everything they see on television, no matter how senseless. Absolutely.
That's objectively untrue. If anything, these days, there's a good contingent of people who will disbelieve something specifically because they saw it on television, the news, somewhere.
Correct. I can't tell you how many times I tried to reason with my neighbor and say these masks do not work. You're wasting your time.
You're wrong about that.
Harming your health, and show her facts, and yet it just all bounced right off.
Have you considered that your quote-unquote facts aren't that, but are in fact things that you got off Facebook that other people said that weren't in fact true?
Or went right over the top of her head.
Like, why do conspiracy theorists who think masks don't work, why do they think doctors wear masks? Because, like, doctors wear them at their job prior and post-COVID, like pandemic, So why does he think any surgeons wear masks if they think it doesn't help in stopping the transmission of things or the spread of germs through your spittle? I don't understand what they think.
Unbelievable. Just absolutely believed in everything the television was telling them. But here we are 4 years later, and most Americans still believe that the virus hoax was a real thing. Yep.
It is a real thing. Coronavirus is real. I had it. It sucked.
They sure do. And they still believe that
it's only to keep blood from getting in their mouth? That doesn't make any goddamn sense.
that ballots or votes, they sure do. She's putting up political signs in the yard right now. They still believe that an imposter calling himself Joe Biden was elected president. Yep, they sure
He was.
do. He's been dead since 2018, but nobody wants to believe it.
Oh, they think Joe Biden's like a clone or a double?
The sole reason why they believe these things, and others just as dumb, is because they saw it on television. Yeah, so they see an actor wearing a Joe Biden mask and they automatically believe that he's alive. And they're putting all their vitriol and hate on him, right?
Wonder what actor he thinks it is.
Unreal. Number 5, Americans are an unjust and immoral people. A truly just and moral people wouldn't stand for what we've seen transpire over the last 2 decades and longer. They simply wouldn't. The torches and pitchforks would come out. The freaks and traitors would be tarred and feathered or worse. None of the problems we're facing today would exist if Americans were just and moral, indeed, including and especially the mainstream churches in America. Where are you? Where are you? I don't see you.
Problem. Again, it's the recognition of problems, but not addressing what the problems are or how they exist within systems. He's literally blaming it on individuals and thinks if you just killed those individuals that he disagrees with, everything would be fine. No, fault often lies in systems that are the result of historical inertia. And you need to change those systems. And if you don't, regardless of who is within those systems operating levers of power, you'll get the same results. Rageology says, as my mind won't get off the subject of UK amusement parks, before the financial crisis, a company was going to make a theme park outside of London based on BBC properties including Top Gear, Doctor Who, and Sherlock. I am particularly mourn the loss of the Sherlock experience, which would presumably just end with a puzzle box with nothing inside it, other than a note saying, LOL, no homo. That was good.
Speaking out against abortion.
As a Sherlock fan that is also salty, I felt that.
I don't see you speaking out against these death shots. I don't see you doing anything other than injecting your people with the death shots.
Again, it's vaccine. It's fine. It's good. I had like 4 or 5 doses. I'm good. I'm good. Although I did grow boobs in a butt. Wonder if that's related.
There's plenty of shot clinics set up in church parking lots and in buildings themselves. There was plenty of that going on. Plenty of sucking up of the mark of the beast. Unbelievable. And of course, now that they've been injected with it, they have way too much foolish pride to admit they were wrong and repent. But
I'm not wrong. I'm right. Why are you booing me? I'm right.
They won't. The Bible says they will not repent, no matter what happens. So don't expect that to happen anytime soon, guys. Don't give yourself false hope. A lot of these people are absolutely gone. I mean, we obviously continue to pray for them, but I'm just saying, because all things are possible with God, but I'm saying that a lot of these people are way gone, especially those who've had the jabs. And Americans have no understanding of history. That's number 6. None. That's exactly true, too. They were duped into fighting World War I, World War II. They were duped into fighting
World War I's maybe one thing. World War II's got me, thinly veiled. H-Baird says, duped into World War II. This has, bent ex aficionado vibes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Persian Gulf Wars, duped into invading Afghanistan. It just goes on and on. They think the Civil War was fought over slavery.
It was.
No idea what the Federal Reserve is or how it came to be. You know, you might know these things, but a lot of people don't. 97% or more of Americans don't know these things. They've never heard of the USS Liberty. They think 9/11 was orchestrated by Osama bin Laden. And
9/11 out of nowhere on the bingo card. This guy's checking all the boxes. He's just 20,000 red flags in a trench coat pretending to be a human being.
19 guys with box cutters living in caves in Afghanistan, by the way. That's what they believe. They believe Israel's our greatest ally. Their stupidity knows no bounds. So Americans are demonically possessed, and he's written this before. I would agree with this too. At this point, it's undeniable. People are stupid, sure, and Americans are among the stupidest of all. But nobody can be as brainless and as stupid as we're seeing right now with being demonically possessed on some level. In true Shakespearean irony, the ones who deny it the loudest are the ones possessed by the most demons. Indeed, they are. Because so many Americans are demonically possessed, and because demons attract other demons, we have demonically possessed trannies posing as first ladies.
Strike 2.
Pop stars.
Transvestigation, transphobia on the bingo card.
And female athletes, and demonically possessed soy boys jerking off to their images.
Demonically possessed soy boys jerking off.
Absolutely true. It all goes back to the spiritual war here, guys, and the spirit of Jezebel, which we're going to talk about as well.
Jezebel! I think we took Jezebel off the card, but solid call out to Jezebel there.
8. Americans are more afraid of standing out from the herd than they are of death. Absolutely true, too. Again,
No,
look at the hundreds of millions of Americans who were duped into injecting themselves with poison.
Again, it's not poison.
Rather than
preventative medicine.
Risk being looked upon unfavorably. Many of them are now dead. They chose.
Not really. Again, I think a majority of the population of Earth took it. If it was a problem, you'd notice.
Death over this.
That's something that's frustrating to me about conspiracy theorists, is when inevitably they're shown to be wrong, they just manufacture, like, have you heard of manufactured consent? It's a little bit like that, but instead of manufacturing consent, they collectively manufacture a parallel reality in which the things they predicted came true. So they just all tell each other, like, oh yeah, people are dying of the shot left and right. They're not. There's no evidence of this, not on any sort of statistically significant scale, you know? But they'll just act like it is. They just live in a reality where they were proven right, even though they were not. They were demonstrably proven wrong, but they all tell each other they were proven right, so they live in a parallel reality where they think that happened and is continuing to happen. Pretty out there.
Disapproval. Number 9, Americans are addicted to sin, and this is absolutely the truth. I've seen it right next door to me, in real time, in real life. Envy, gluttony, drunkenness, immodest dress, pornography, masturbation, fornication, adultery, abortion, you name it. Americans are addicted to it. And I was too. I was addicted to some of these things as well.
Benigagami says, every Christian willingly consumes poison every week and calls it the blood of Christ. It's called alcohol. Not every Christian denomination does sacrament weekly.
Jesus Christ set me free, though. And he can set you free, too. He can fill that big hole that you're trying to fill with alcohol and drugs right now. Only Jesus Christ can fill that. Make him your Lord and Savior today. But even worse, they refuse to give up their sins. They refuse to repent. The Bible says they won't, right? Rather than change their behavior, they will continue sinning all the way to hell. Yes, they will. Unfortunately. Once again, keep praying for them, because with God all things are possible, but we are. Time is so short. We're at the end of everything here. Number 10, Americans are baby killers. Is there anything more evil or satanic than the murder or mutilation of an innocent child? And guys, I'm going to stop here for a second and say, no, there isn't anything more evil. And the thing about it is, ever since Roe v. Wade was overturned by this Supreme Court, what's been happening? There's been protest after protest after protest in support of abortion rights.
Yeah, because people need medical care and they deserve to have choice of autonomy over their fucking bodies.
My choice, my body, my choice, blah, 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 blah. And they are demanding the right to kill their unborn children. Talk about a nation that's totally under sin.
I wish so bad that something magical would happen and all of a sudden every anti-choice person in America suddenly was pregnant. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Totally under judgment and will be under, and is under God's wrath, and is about to be absolutely wiped out, destroyed forever. 1 hour, the destruction will come. And that's for supporting this abortion crap, and they support the murder and genocide of Palestinian children. Kill them all, these churches say. These church leaders say, we got to get rid of them all. Take care of the problem now. Israel's got to take care of it. Get rid of them all. Unbelievable. This is how evil the so-called church is in America. They forget about the Sermon on the Mount. Blessed are the peacemakers, not the warmongers. They forget about all that. Oh, those are liberal
Stone
talking
Corbell.
points, Johnny. Unbelievable. Politics has become religion for a lot of people in America, that's for sure. And if you don't support the right side, then you're going to hell. I mean, it's just ridiculous anymore. They support trannyism and the sexual mutilation.
That's strike 3. Interesting gentleman. I'm gonna guess his social calendar's not very full since he's gone full conspiracy theorist. Let's see what is. Conspiracy theorist talking about Terrence Howard?
Hey everyone, happy 4th of July. I'm having a good day. Feeling good. Jester's not even out. I thought he might be today, but still feeling good. Yeah, I was reading the Bible this morning when I was in the bathroom. Really been getting some thinking done today. Yeah, the, you know, and there's this Terrence Howard, is that his name? Interview?
Mm-hmm. Benikagami says, is there anything more evil than baby ending? I don't know, Guantanamo Bay, human experimentation, PDFs, Nazi camp stuff, just to name a few.
On Joe Rogan with Eric Weinstein. So it's one of the first Joe Rogan podcasts that I've tuned into for any amount of time, really, for years maybe. That's maybe not true. There might have been 1 or 2 others. But yeah, just wondering what that's about. You know, right before the 4th of July, and yeah, as far as I can gather, Terrence Howard is some kind of polymath genius who's figured out.
Oh no! Calls for this shit.
Something to do with a new take on
Hannah puts her head in her hands. She's so whatever it says in the bingo card.
Platonic solids, and how everything is based on the shape of the sphere. You know, energy, matter takes the form of spheres, like bubbles take the form of spheres, and they're the most pure and like kind of form of, I don't know. And when you think about, you know, the Swiss cheese thing.
The most pure what? You can't just say pure and have it mean something. Pure in what sense? What do you mean?
The idea that there's all potentiality that exists in the universe, and then there's little bubbles taken out where things exist separately. Like, you know, I was talking about that before. You know, the benches behind me from the amphitheater. You know, they're benches because they're not birds and because they're not stones, and you know they are what they are because of what they're not. Because
H-Bird says, as a physicist, can confirm spherical cows are the purest.
They've been carved out of the potentiality of everything, the all potentiality. They could have been anything, and now they are benches.
This is like classical philosophy's attempt at physics. It is the form it is because of what it is not. Like, technically, semantically true, I guess. You could argue that, but like, in what sense is it materially true? What are you really trying to say about that metaphysically?
You know, and you know, so our world exists in one of these bubbles, you know. And I really do, I think the stars that we see are the luminaries, you know, whatever you want to call them, the lights in the sky at night. They might actually be the periphery of our being, but I think they actually move around us in a spherical kind of way. I think they roll, and then they go under the horizon, and they come back up, and I think they do it.
Under where? What's under the flat Earth?
Some kind of an axis. There is some kind of an axis tilt to that. Yeah, but I think the sun and the moon maybe go around around the disk in a flat way, parallel to the ground. But yeah, I don't know. The stars do seem to move around in a spherical way, and yeah, I don't know. So that could be our bubble. The stars could be outlining the bubble of our world that's been carved out of the everything, and yeah. But the Terrence Howard thing seems like he really is onto something. But it's like, first of all, is it his work? He seems to know it pretty well. I mean, Eric Weinstein doesn't really let him talk very much. Maybe I should check out another thing, but I have a feeling that it's coming out now because it is supposed to be a distraction from something, especially for people like me. The content of that interview definitely appeals to people like me, as does the MCO storyline that was woven, started by some guy named Brian Austin Lambert, BA.
Not familiar with the other thing he's talking about, but I would say he's right on saying that the Terrence Howard video podcast is pretty much not designed, but unintentionally exists pretty much only to appeal to people who are conspiratorial, who will listen to something, and what matters isn't how truthful something is, but how truthful something sounds. Does it comport with their already preconceived conspiratorial notion of the world? If so, they find it convincing. Terrence Howard could fall into that for them, because he's claiming, institutions, universities, mathematicians, physicists, they don't want you, the plebs, to know the truth. This is a new paradigm, and all of a sudden, all the experts are no longer experts. And it's like a shaking of the snow globe that is the order of society, because they don't like where they are in the hierarchy that exists. So, I don't know. It's interesting. He's not wrong. He's just not correct in what he actually means.
A ball. He starts out his videos talking about how 33 is his favorite number, and he's not going to change it just because Freemasons, whatever. All coded.
Freemasons on the bingo card.
Saying that he was part of the narrative. But yeah, that appeals to people like me because it actually starts out very, very scientifically, and the explanation that he gives for how the electromagnetic storms, inside the shell of this place, that the polarity flips, and that's what causes what people think happens in the Book of Revelation, when people lose, the magnetism leaves the ground and people float, and the angel.
Okay, so he doesn't think gravity exists. He thinks it's electromagnetism, not an uncommon belief for flat earthers, called the electric universe theory. Untrue. It's not even a theory. The debunked hypothesis.
Will come collect the worthy or whatever from the sky, and everyone else will be torn apart in the raging winds of everything flying around, and all matter ripping everything to shreds. And
the shreds, you say?
The movie It has a bunch of stuff in it that's supposed to tip at this, and so does actually Labyrinth, the movie Labyrinth, which I never actually saw the whole movie.
Oh fuck! Watch Labyrinth. The movie's incredible. Love me some Jareth. Thank you for 27 months. That's another sub baby. This sub baby's name is going to be Jareth Codpiece. Jareth Codpiece.
But yeah, the red and blue and the storms, and there's whole videos you can watch on how somebody set this narrative up a long time ago, and they have different ways to keep all different kinds of people busy. And this particular thing I'm talking about with the storms is they call it the EMCO, the electromagnetic something changeover event. OE EMCO something. Yeah.
Electromagnetic catastrophic something.
Polarity changeover event. I don't know, but if you look up EMCO, that you'll find whole message boards. There's all kinds of stuff people talking about it.
There's message boards. It must be true.
A lot of people are really into it and think that it's what's happening, what's actually happening. And I was almost there at one point to be convinced by it, but just it wasn't there. There I can't remember exactly what it was, but there were a couple of other things that I knew to be true that they were assuming were false, or vice versa. Anyway, so I fell out of that, but that and the this Terrence Howard thing,
Hydrate.
Eric Weinstein argument, And Eric Weinstein's basically just saying, you're not, just stop trying to teach. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know our language and that kind of stuff. And, Eric attacks academia, but he is the academia, what academia set up to attack it, to be its, what do you call that? You set up your own opposition.
Controlled opposition.
Controlled opposition, but yeah, there's another word for what he actually does and what he is. But yeah, so anyway, I'm not exactly sure what's going on with that. I don't know anything about Terrence Howard. I never saw his show. Is it a movie? Hustler? Or is it
Hustle
Entourage?
and Flow?
I can't remember. Yeah, I don't know. It said in the video description. I actually was gonna do something about that, but yeah, then I got just sidetracked by reading the Bible this morning and then thinking about that interview and how Eric Weinstein's telling him, you're not an expert, but you are exceptional. But you're not an expert, and he's telling him to keep in his lane, and it got me to thinking about that the temple, the king gets to decide who goes into the temple, and what does the temple do? The temple is a place where there's like a creative.
He's not trained. It has nothing to do with his identity or him not being good enough. If he went and actually learned things and had valid theories, great. He doesn't. He's a crazy person.
Power that's established there. It's like a sacred space that has been allowed where people can be at their most creative. So it's the people who create the narrative for the king, the storyline, the builders of the temple, maybe not literally, they're the ones who get to
A better metaphor would be there's a temple and Terrence Howard wants to come in and drop his pants and shit all over the place and they don't let him in.
Be in that temple space. But sometimes there is an exception to that rule, and the king is the one who decides who is the exception to the rule. And yeah, it just got me to thinking that if you make yourself exceptional, then you can become an exception. Hey, thick as a brick comes back again. Comic paper idol who lets you bend the
Thick
rules.
as a brick. Well, that's what they mean by bricked up.
Follow your comic paper idol who let you bend the rule. If you are exceptional, then you get to be an exception. And yeah, that's how it works. And then there's always unexceptional people who have chosen to be unexceptional. They get offended when the exceptional get afforded things that they don't. But, any good king is going to allow the exceptional to have exceptions. Yeah, so get that on video. I don't know when I can upload it, though, because apparently there's a video limit per day on YouTube, and I hit it. And I have other videos I made last night.
How many videos do you upload? Jesus Christ. I didn't even know there's a video limit on YouTube. There are people who upload constantly. What are you talking about? That's crazy to me. Videos. Okay. I'm gonna go use the bathroom real quick, and then I think we'll finish up with a video about the Book It program. So I'll be right back. Good. I'm not gonna do the bit where I pull out a DVD, because I gotta actually pee real bad. Be right back. Okay, so for those that don't know what the Book It program is, the Book It program thing in the United States, they probably have something similar in other countries, where it's like a summer reading program or a reading program where like you would read books as a kid and then you would get prizes depending on how many books you read. It was an incentive to have little kids who are learning to read, and to get an interest in reading recreationally. So that's what it is.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My channel is primarily dedicated to weird and creepy stuff they make for kids. That's what I
This is the lady that transvestigates board games.
Want the main focus to be. And the Book It program started off in 1984. This was a very popular program. I'm an 80s kid. This all got started when I was really little and in elementary school. This video contains my opinions and speculations. I am not stating facts, but this is kind of a little journey into making connections and being aware and questioning everything. If I can do one thing on this channel, it would be to spread the message of question every single thing, because things are not as they appear to be. Even things that seem, are seemingly innocent. Now, the Book It program is something that many kids have enjoyed.
Gillis Filler says, heavy metal vocals.
Take a look at the book, reading rainbow, rainbow.
And it could very well be a great thing. However, I've made some pretty amazing connections here. And I just want to present those, and I just want to present them, and you guys can give me your opinions. So, all right, how the Book It program worked was kids were, kids were inspired to read a certain number of books, and you would get this pin, and this from memory, this was a long time ago. I was like 5-6 years old, when I was doing this. You would get a gold star and you would fill out your pin. And I've read some people got like certificates and then they would get the pin or something, but you would take it to Pizza Hut and you would get...
Why is she using her phone to record something running on her laptop? Incompetence.
Pizza. Now, it wasn't just any pizza. You would get a personal pan pizza.
And Pizza Hut was good back then. Also, I was a child, so that probably helped.
And that was the thing everybody had to say. It had to be a personal pan pizza. That's going to be important here as we dive into this and break it down. So that's how the Book It program worked. You would read your books at school. You would get your stickers. You would take this to Pizza Hut, and Pizza Hut would give each kid for free a pizza. And here's a picture of the button, how it looked filled out with the gold stars. It was really cool.
There had to have been a teacher somewhere who had access to these goddamn Book It stickers and would, like, how do I put this? Basically, take the Book It stickers with their kid or something and go to a Pizza Hut to get the kid to eat free, even though they didn't actually read that many books. That must have happened, right? How much Book It fraud was there? Probably a lot. I want to know how many pizzas worth of fraud happened in the Book It program.
We loved these. We loved this program as children. And just stick with me, guys, because I'm not a negative person. I don't try to...
You did fraud on that. Lock-alt fact up. We got them. This whole show has just been a sting operation, alt fact. We've been on to you for years, you little shit, and we finally got you to admit it. It took a decade of me playing this fucking character. I had to transition for this inexplicably. But we got you, bitch. You gotta pay back the price of that personal pan pizza, circa 1995. That'll be $6. Case closed!
Find the bad in everything, but you've got to understand that nothing is as it appears to be. It just seems like there's always something behind everything. So we're not stupid. If you're on this channel, you guys are highly intelligent and you know who this world is run by. All right. So If I'm a satanic, I don't know if I'm allowed to say the next word. I'm just going to say metaphile. If I'm a satanic metaphile and I'm trying to think of a way to like get a lot of kids involved in something, how brilliant would it be to get every kid in the nation across the country into my establishment?
I'm sorry, does she think Pizza Hut is a secret pedophile thing? Do you think Pizza Hut is a pedophile thing? I assume because Pizzagate making the association with one of the most popular food items in the world, pizza. Benekagami says, you signed up for this sting just to transition, you fucking egg. All right, maybe.
You know, like it would be a brilliant plan to say, hey, read these books, kiddos, and come into Pizza Hut. Every single one of you.
I'm sorry, does she not understand that you don't need to incentivize children to go get pizza? The pizza was the incentive. Like, that's... You want the pizza already, so you do the reading, so you get the pizza. If they just wanted any kid to come in, they could just be like, free pizza for kids! And why would they have the book part? That doesn't even make sense as an evil plan. That doesn't make any goddamn sense.
You for a free pizza.
I guess they're just pedophiles with a real passion for literacy.
If I'm a metaphile, I know where I'm eating, right? I know exactly where every kid in the country is going to be.
Again, this doesn't even make sense as an evil plan. What are you talking about? You think pedophiles are going to Pizza Hut with the intention of being like, kids are part of the Book It program, so there'll be kids at the Pizza Hut? That doesn't make any sense.
Some of you are going to think this video is crazy. Some of you are going to think it's brilliant. So, here's my connections, right?
Boy, I wonder which category I'll be in by the end of this.
Let me take you on a journey of my mind here. So, this whole Book It program got started because President Ronald Reagan, basically put out a call to businesses in America saying, try to get more involved in education. Like, you know, he was encouraging them to, says right here, get involved in education and to...
I'd probably be like, I'm a private business. That's your job. You're the government. What are you talking about? I make pizzas. Why the fuck are you trying to tell me to get involved in education? This is your fucking job, you fucking lazy piece of shit.
Come up with ways to do that. By the way, I'm on this website called mentalfloss.com, and this is an article about Book It. It says 10 cheesy facts about Pizza Hut's Book It program. So hopefully I said this was a Pizza Hut thing. This Book It was a program by Pizza Hut. The president of Pizza Hut, after Ronald Reagan did this, said he was inspired by his son to create this reading program where kids could get this extrinsic reward, you know, be rewarded with a pizza for reading the number of books. So the president of Pizza Hut received a letter from President Ronald Reagan, basically just, praising them for this program and congratulating them for how successful it was. When I was a little kid in the 80s, I loved President Reagan. I used to really like seeing him on TV, and my family liked Ronald Reagan, so I don't want to sit here and like bash him, but
by all means, if any audience is going to be happy to hear Ronald Reagan bashed,
it's not like Reagan was without his scandals. So this article that I'm showing right now is from the Washington Times from Thursday, June 29th, 1989. And this had to do with a homosexual prostitution inquiry. This is the title, Ensnares VIPs with Reagan and Bush. It wasn't about Reagan and Bush personally, but this whole thing had to do with like these young call boys taking a midnight tour of the White House, and that people from the Reagan and Bush administration were busted in this young callboy prostitution ring. They charged their services, it says right here, charged homosexual prostitute services on major credit cards. That was smart. Over the past 18 months, and then it names their names. And the people that were busted were part of the Reagan and Bush administration. But my thing is like, why are there...
H-Bird says, I saw 8 homosexuals in the White House.
Young callboys taking midnight tours of the White House. You know what I mean? Like, that's just really shady. So we have Reagan kind of, linked to this, and Reagan praising, Pizza Hut's program. Stay with me. I admit I am not a
numerology on the bingo card.
Numerology expert or gematria.
No one is.
Yeah, Adam.
Gematria.
If you're watching, he is one of my viewers who is extremely knowledgeable in many areas, but especially this gematria that he's taught me a little bit about so far. Okay, so the reward that kids would get was a personal pan pizza. In both numerology and the gematria charts that I looked up, the letter P, the number 7 represents the letter P. Personal pan pizza.
777. A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
777. That's an important number in the occult world. And by the way, this booklet thing has been bothering me for a while, but then one of my viewers...
This is a form of numerology that it goes up to like 9, I think, and then it circles back around. So it's like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 7th letter, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, oh, N. No, that's, wait. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N. No, not quite. Okay, I guess I don't know why this is G, P, and Y then. Oh, is there, maybe there's a 0. 0 might be part of it. No, because then it would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not sure. Either way, it's a numerology bullshit thing. Unless you don't count 0 until the end of the first sequence, but why would you do that? Unless it goes to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, that wouldn't work either. I don't know.
When I posted that Babysitters Club video, she said, oh, I used to love those books, and
He is 16, 1 plus 6. Okay. Okay, I see. It's the gematria where it's the number is the letter, but then you reduce it by adding the 2 digits to whatever 1 digit it would be. Okay. I gotcha.
Used to read them for the Book It program, and I was like, oh man, I hate to ruin this for her, but my Babysitters Club video was all about like the weirdness behind that series and the author and some of the inappropriate text. And then when she said that, I was like, okay, I have to make this Book It video because it's been nagging me for a while. Okay, P 777, very occult. Let's look at it. Here's the...
Let me guess. 777. 7 plus 7 plus 7, 7, 14, 21. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Reversed is 6. I don't know. Somehow she'll get it to 666.
The gematria chart that I pulled up, letter P again, 7. So we have 777 in both numerology and the gematria. If those are the same thing, forgive me. I am not an expert in this area, but I understand that I really need to learn more about it because it's important. Look at my cat. This is Sasha. She's so cute. Okay. I don't know if this English gematria is any different, but across the board, the letter P was all 7s. 777 is linked with Aleister Crowley, our friend who's in every single video.
Every fucking time they go back to this.
He was like the world's biggest Satanist. And 777 is, I think, either like a book or some body of writing that he did. 777 and other Kabbalistic writings of Aleister Crowley. So if it's Aleister Crowley and it's 777, you know that it's not a good thing because he was a very high level Satanist. this has to do with magical numbers and symbols and how they go together, and it's probably something important to read. And gematria is meant.
Again, we got here because of personal pan pizzas, I want to remind you in this moment. We are here reading the Wikipedia page to Aleister Crowley because of personal pan pizzas.
Mentioned here. I don't know what Liber 777. I think that's like the title of his work. But anyways, guys, 777 is a high occult number. If Aleister Crowley's talking about it, very satanic. Okay, so all right, so it says 777 is a significant number in the mystical and occult traditions, particularly associated with Aleister Crowley, like I said. So yeah, he was an occultist, a magician, and here's a couple of the references. So like I said, this Liber 777, it's a work by Crowley. That's a comprehensive table of magical correspondences. It covers symbols, elements, planets, and a bunch of other things. 777 in the Kabbalistic.
This is the chart she's using, and it says Pythagorean English gematria chart. Don't know what Pythagoras has to do with this, but okay.
Writings of
Radiology says it's amazing that the entire basis for this conspiracy theory is that children, Pizza Hut, and pedophiles all exist. Yes, and she's trying to combine them, as you do.
Aleister Crowley. So you get the idea. 777.
You crack the code PPP flip to BBB, which looks like 666, also stands for Bed Bath and Beyond, which is going to come back and make PP whole. PP, we did it again. It's all full circle. Right on.
777. Personal Pan Pizza. PPP 777. These people think we're stupid, guys. You've got to. This isn't crazy. This is understanding the codes. Okay. Everything is.
I really hope this lady gets help at some point. Because, like, again, I know we joke about the strange beliefs and stuff on this show, but this is probably to the point where this is like an actual illness and she needs help. I hope a family member or something sees this at some point and gets her to back off this. Because this is only going to get worse without intervention.
A symbol. Everything is a code, and it's up to us to just sift through the bullshit. That's what I'm doing right now, because I don't trust anything. This is Aleister Crowley, and I was like, oh, he looks a lot like Uncle Fester. Do you think that was...
I was going to say he looks like Egghead, the Batman villain.
Intentional? Now that I think about it, Uncle Fester was probably based on this guy here, huh?
I don't think so. Also, you're using the Christopher Lloyd pictures instead of the pictures of the one from the 50s TV show?
Right. That
came first? It was a comic strip first, too, before the TV show.
Was random. Okay, yeah, so here's more of the book it pins. That vaguely looked like the pedo swirl. I wouldn't be surprised, but it's not the swirl exactly. But Sonia, if you're watching, here's more planets and out of this world symbolism, you know, to get our brains just to reinforce all of the outer space BS.
Oh, she doesn't believe in space! Yes.
Okay, so far we have Personal Pan Pizza, PPP 777, Aleister Crowley, and now we're going to talk about the word pan. So
wow, she's just pulling in every like connection she can possibly tendril out. Incredible.
Personal, okay, we all know what that means. Pan. Who is Pan? Pan is the god of the wild.
Okay, but in this case, Pan is referring to the cooking implement that the pizza is cooked within. It's a pan. It's cooked in a pan.
He is a character in mythology. He is god of the wild. He is half man, half goat. He loves music. He loves sex. He was raised by nymphs, and he's basically the god of all things wild. He's connected to fertility. springtime, and nymphs. I read that he's the inventor of this little musical instrument he would play, this reed, like the reed pipes, this little like reed pipe flute thing.
Pan flute. Called a pan flute.
Here's a better illustration. You can see his goat legs. He had like a goat behind and goat legs, and he's also a horned creature, and there are many links with
I thought she was going to say a horny creature, which also would be accurate.
Pan to Satan. You can do that digging. I don't want to make this video too long, but there's many links to Pan with Satan. Pan kind of represents all things wild and just, you know, crazy and uninhibited. If we have any mythology experts or anybody with any more knowledge about linking Pan with Satan, feel free to leave that below.
That's funny, because anyone qualified to give her actual information on that would also see that she's delusional?
Recently watched the movie Narnia from a friend's recommendation, and the character
Mr. Tumnus!
Mr. Talmus in there is
Tumnus.
half man, half goat, and we're pretty sure that that was based on this Pan character with links to I thought Lucifer, but it's mostly Satan. It's kind of blurry. I've looked that up several times, and some people say that's the same.
But anyone she thinks is qualified would agree with her. That is really true, Harold Element.
Thing. Some people say it's not the same thing. I don't know. But the take-home message here, guys, is none of these connections are good for personal Pan pizza. We've already got Aleister Crowley, 777, maybe Satan. So how much worse can it get? And I bet you thought I couldn't make it any worse, but I'm gonna. So personal Pan, Satan, you know, God of the Wild. And do I really need to remind you what Pizzagate was all about?
Yeah, a conspiracy theory where a bunch of wackos on the internet convinced themselves a pizza place in DC had a secret basement for sex trafficking. It did not. It does not.
Some of you probably knew where I was going with Pizza Hut and every kid in the world coming into your establishment because does the kid behind the freaking Pizza Hut, the cashier at Pizza Hut, does he really care about what books I read? Or was there a bigger thing going?
No, it's not about the people working there caring about you in particular. It's about the PR that it gives. It's about that it brings people into the restaurant. Because even if your kid gets a free pizza, the parent is paying for their food and any siblings or whoever else comes. It's an advertising gimmick. It's promotional.
On here. Why would every single kid across the country be getting free pizzas for the past 4 decades? I feel like this is something much bigger. So obviously in Pizzagate, we learned the real meaning of pizza.
No, you really didn't. You made one up.
How,
Oh, I know, I hit Twitch times too. We're going to cover it on the next Sob Sit Watch, which is either going to be tomorrow or... Tomorrow is Thursday. Which will either be tomorrow or the next day. We'll see.
Cheese pizza actually is a word for child.
No, it's not.
I'm afraid to say the word because I don't know if I'm allowed to. If you've never seen this chart, it's pretty good, except the one thing is that I thought CP, cheese pizza, that's like a thing for, I thought like child, PORN, and all of this like metaphile stuff in general. But this chart kind of breaks it down where, here, I'll just show you like what.
H-Bird says, the real meaning of Pizzagate is that felonies were charged with, was the felonies we were charged with along the way. Sorry, Marcus Drake. Let me find your bits. Has anyone done the typical pansexual joke, but for the god instead of the cooking implement? Also, pans related... Alright. Also, pans related to panic, which this woman experiences every time she encounters something new.
What it looks like. Hot dog boy. I mean, it's pretty gross stuff.
It's not true! It's not real.
Right? I've been looking for this forever, though. I could not remember where I found the ice cream one. Ice cream is male prostitution, but it's like, I think, a kid thing. I needed that information for another video and wasn't able to find this, so I was happy I dug it up today.
Rachology says, whenever I meet people who've never heard of Pizzagate, my favorite part is after explaining it to them and assuring them that yes, people do believe it is the expression.
Here's the list so you can see it a little bit better.
Again, none of this is true. This is a thing 4chan made up. It's 4chan! 4chan referenced on the bingo card.
But here's their symbols. But anyways, pizza is like major metaphile code. So now, guys, we have personal pan pizza 777. This is just me thinking out loud, but don't tell me all of this stuff doesn't go together.
It doesn't go together in any discernible, logical way. You are stretching. To say you are stretching is generous.
Did I just crack the Book It program? Like,
no! You cracked your mind!
Let me know what you think. These are just my opinions, but I really think I'm onto something here. So I don't know how they would use that whole thing to their advantage. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but what I do know is that I've made connections, and I think they're pretty good ones. So let me know what you think of this video. If you want to read more about the Book It program, you can go to bookitprogram.com and poke around there. I was surprised to hear this is still going on. It was very, very big in the 80s. My niece is in school right now. I haven't heard her talk about this at all, but
I would hope her parents don't let them talk to you at all. You're unhinged. You should not be around children. You see pedophilia and secret trans people everywhere. You should not be around children.
Yeah, apparently.
Radiology says the other good bit is after when I lean in and whisper, now let me tell you about Kennedy coming back.
It still exists, but guys, let me know your thoughts on this. Did you like my connections? Like, this is the kind of stuff I think about, and I don't try to find the bad in everything, but I do try to find connections, and I don't believe anything, or I don't take anything at face value anymore. I try to dive into things and, you know, see what's behind it. So that's my video ruining my Book It program memories. And I will be doing a live stream today at 4 o'clock Eastern on the rest of that JCPenney catalog and showing you some more metaphile stuff in the other catalog. Thanks for
Unstable Deadbeat says, I've never seen this chart before. It's actually really scary to think all of the totally innocent things you could say to one of these people if you didn't know they were into conspiracy and suddenly have them attack and try to harm you if they're fully unhinged enough. Oh yeah. Really scary. Their private definitions get very, very weird. Anyway. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Let's see who we're going to raid on Twitch before we call it a night. Royale. About.
In terms of business for her?
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, it's the Peef Lady. That's the Peef Lady. All right. Have a good night, everyone. I will see you probably tomorrow. I'm not sure what time. Maybe early. It depends. Sorry things have been hectic with the schedule lately. I apologize. I know. But hopefully things will stabilize soon. So, I'll see you soon. Have a great night. Like the stream on YouTube if you can. Love you, Mr. Blast. The rest of you, I will see soon. Have a great night, everyone. Bye-bye. Oh yeah, I didn't mention Blu-rays. Look at all my Blu-rays! I did it! Bye!